Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. With me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash, and Andy could not be with us tonight. He had a family emergency. So here's what I want to talk about tonight. Tonight's going to be a different show. We're not going to be talking politics and yelling and screaming and all that shit. Well, we might be yelling and screaming a little bit, but we're going to be talking wrestling tonight. Because I know old boy's going to be super stoked because the new Wyatt family made their debut, which is really, really cool. I've got several things that I want to talk about. So let's do this. Let's go to old boy first and let him talk about the Wyatt family, the new Wyatt family that's coming out, Uncle Howdy and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we'll kind of get into some of the other things as well. So old boy, go ahead, brother.
How is everybody tonight, motherfuckers? Old boy, yes, let's get into the WWE because we all are going to talk about what's going on with the Wyatt family. My personal opinion and what I think is going to go on is that if it's called the Wyatt six, like sick, not like six, like the number sick. It's called six, like sick, like being sick. And they're supposed to be a sixth person. They haven't, or are they trying to say the Lantern is sixth person? But I've been hearing it's going to be Alexa Bliss coming back. But then I heard she might be doing a run, so it might not be her. And they attacked Braun Strowman yesterday too, and Chad Gable and a lot of other people. So if you guys know, Bray Wyatt's brother is playing Uncle Howdy. They got Dexter Loomis to play the Buzzard. What's her name? The Scottish, what's her name? The Nikki Nash, or the Scottish girl from she's playing. I think
it was Nikki Ash when she was a superhero character. I think it's like Nikki Cross now, right?
Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is playing the doll. The guy from NXT, I forget his name. I really wasn't familiar with him. He's playing Huskus the Pig, and Eric Rollins is playing Rollins, the original Wyatt member with the goatee. He did the sheep mask. He's playing the rabbit. Those are the 5 people right now. I know there's going to be a 6th one, but they're probably going to not do that right now. The one thing I am agreeing with is they have to be very careful how they do this, because one, we don't want this to be a failure, because it will kill Bray. It won't kill Bray Wyatt's legacy, but it might put a mark on it. People are worried about this because they were talking about this. Yeah, it's great, it's bad, but are you going to do the whole superhero supernatural thing where it kind of became an issue with Bray Wyatt, where people, when they, he got up and was almost immortal like the Undertaker, and fucking now we're gonna have this with 5 different new characters, and they kind of did that. So how are we gonna do this without? And is it gonna work in this time and age? Because last time Bray came back, it worked for a while, but then it dragged on for so long. And I'm the biggest Bray Wyatt. He's my favorite wrestler. Him and the Undertaker. The only issue I have is when Bray came back the second time, and before he got sick and he passed away. It was great at first, but it dragged out, and then he got hurt, and they dragged it out for like 8 months, and he finally wrestled, and it was a good match, but it was like crazy. It was all dark. Mountain Dew paid for it, the Mountain Dew blackout match, and Bray Wyatt was crazy. He had this glow in a dark mask, and he had the family, and it was cool. But Uncle Howdy missed the jump, and he fell jumped too far, and then they had him wrestle Bobby Lashley. Uncle Howdy, the last time I saw him, he got beat before Bray got sick, and then never came back because he passed away from COVID complications. He fell asleep at night, and he ended up having in a day, and he had a heart attack. But he was having issues with COVID for the last 6-7 months. I really like the story. I don't know if it was good for Raw. I think it should have been on the pay-per-view, because it would have. It's supposed to be very big, and I guess I know why they're doing it, because they are going to Netflix in 6 months, and it's going to be rated R pretty much, because they're getting rid of that whole. They're not going to be worried too much about what's being said like it is on USA, but SmackDown's going on USA, and I think that's going to be a mistake, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. I heard NXT staying on USA now too, because NXT's starting to get bigger. But right now, the reason why it is because I don't know if you watched it. They're bringing TNA. And then, because AEW is doing the same thing with Forbidden Door, and they've been doing it for the last 5 years. And their next pay per view, New Japan's going to be in it, and a couple like CC AAA, the Mexican wrestling luchadors. And just so you know, I like AEW too. I'm a big AEW. We'll talk about them in a couple minutes too, but I really like it. It's just matters what they're going to do with it. I think right now it took 4 months for them to bring this out, and they've been talking about it. And now we just got to see what they're going to do with it and see if they can pull it off. Because the last time Bray did come back, it was great at first, and then you could see it started dragging out. And LA Knight got very popular over it. That's cool, but it dragged out too long. And then the match came, and then it was like, that was it. He only had a couple matches he did, and that was the only real live one he had, other than the one at Madison Square Garden. And then Bray ended up passing away because it was unfortunate they fired him in the first fucking place, because that was Vince McMahon. Triple H, we'll talk about that. Triple H is taking over, so it's so much better. Vince McMahon didn't like Bray Wyatt because Bray Wyatt wouldn't give him creative activity of his character, because the Undertaker told him not to give anybody that creative to change the character, and they wanted to, and he wouldn't let him, so they fired him. And he could have went to AEW, and he was very close. People don't realize how close he was. And he didn't, because I guess a couple people told him, and he went to the WWE, and I think he was more of a character for them. That character works in the WWE because of they're more entertainment. Wrestling's AEW and all these other ones. Bray Wyatt was a very unique character. The problem with Bray Wyatt was he was too good for his own good. His imagination, if you watch the documentary, he was too smart for his own good. His imagination didn't stop. And I understand that, being a Gemini myself. And you get things in your head, and you want to do one thing, but you want to keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger. But some people, it was becoming more of entertainment in a horror movie than it was wrestling. That's where some people got pissed off. Like Jim Cornette is already pissed off and talking crap. He always does, though. For some reason, I used to like Jimmy Cornette, but he has turned into a cry. He just cries about everything, bitches and whines and stuff. This isn't wrestling. Dude, things change. That's like one of the most popular characters of all time. It could have been a lot better. It was going to get even better before he passed away. And now we got the Wyatt 6. I'm just hope they do this right. And being a Raw, I think that's why they're going to keep him on Raw. They'll probably throw him to SmackDown a couple times, but I think he's going to be. They're building up Netflix. I know Braun Breaker, Steiner's son, right? Rick Steiner's son is going to be one of the big key people they're going to push. And then when it goes to Netflix, I was reading about it. CM Punk's another one. Drew McIntyre angle, but is it really an angle? Because there's a rumor that Drew, he really doesn't like CM Punk. Maybe this is it is the drawing, but he does. It could be a whole big show. So he comes out in the next couple weeks at Money in the Bank and interferes with Seth's match with Damian Priest, because they just announced that's the main one of the main events for Money in the Bank in the next 16 days. Drew McIntyre signed a contract for the WWE, but he really was hesitant because he doesn't like CM Punk. I don't care for CM Punk anymore. I don't hate him. It just, the problem with CM Punk is he sat here and talked a bunch of shit about the WWE for 8 years. And I get it, money, and he went to AEW, and in 8-9 months he caused a bunch of shit. And even when he got to the WWE right off the bat, he started people don't like him. Seth Rollins don't really like him. He just deals with him. And it's a point where this guy made a bunch of comments about the WWE, about go to the WWE and AEW that you'll be on a a 2-night extravaganza, and you'll be the main event for night 1. And then 6 months later, he goes back to the WWE after all the shit he said. But there's a lot of people who've done that. That's wrestling. But I think CM Punk did it back to get back at AEW because they showed the video of what really happened with Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He was related to Luke Perry. That's who his dad is, the late actor. They had an altercation, and CM Punk claimed that he didn't do anything but put him in a chokehold, and he did. He actually hit Perry in the face and started it because they were arguing, and he lied about it, and that's what they put it out so everybody could see it. I'm really interested in how wrestling is going right now. I really wish the WWE would have AEW and them. That's what everybody wants. I think almost everybody wants to see that. And I think it's going to happen. Triple H is a very smart person. So is Tony Khan. There's been rumors that they're talking and they don't want people. They want people to think everybody hates. This would make it so crazy. Make everybody think you hate each other because there's rumors that Shane McMahon and Jim Ross said this would be the best idea to having Shane McMahon go be in AEW. And Jim Ross works for AEW. So there's been rumors about this. Shane McMahon had nothing to do with his dad. He left the WWE before all this and sold all his stocks a year before all this happened, like a year ago. And having another McMahon in AEW would be really something to push because then we could do what everybody wants, AEW versus the WWE. And I would sure in hell buy that pay-per-view, and I would love to see what happens with it. I would love to see the Wyatt Six take on the House of Black. That would be a crazy match. That would just and another thing is throw TNA because TNA is involved with both of them, and do like a cinematic match with the Hardy Brothers in their compound with all these 3 teams. And I think it would be awesome to have all those teams going out, especially the Hardys, and they're doing one of those things in TNA again. Cinematic things. They're the one who started all that, and I think they could really do something, and I think there would be a lot of money being made, and I think we could actually throw Sting and The Undertaker, maybe not have them wrestle, but that's what everybody really wanted. We could do a cinematic show with them too. I think you could pull it off. They both would do it. They both said it. They know they're in a, Undertaker's gonna be 60 and Sting just turned 65, but if it's like a movie, it doesn't matter. Wrestling doesn't mean it's not going to be but it would be like the AJ Styles match with the Undertaker, and it would be kind of funny. I would love to see that though. I would love to see what would happen. I'd love to see Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns, to see who the best is in the world. I mean, we know Kenny Omega's the better wrestler. Roman's the bigger draw. AEW has a lot of good wrestlers. They just don't have the entertainers that the WWE has or the money. Tony Khan is a billionaire. People don't realize his dad owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's who the Khans are. That's who his parents are. So he has the money. This isn't like Ted Turner. This guy's got more money than Ted Turner. So like I think they also own, his uncle owns like Porsche now or something too. So they're billionaires. So he has the money. He's just he took over a company. I think he used $25 million or 50, and now the company's worth $750 million. So he's already making profit off this company. It's only been out for 5 years. So like I said, if you're a big wrestling fan like me, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I'm really so I don't. I'm a big fan of it. Sorry, I had a call, so I just ignored it. And I'm a big fan of wrestling, so I'm glad we're going to talk about this stuff because on Staring, you can't really do that because we always have to talk about paranormal. We could do it once in a while if it's a paranormal thing, and we could have done it for Staring, but we can't, it would just have been about the Wyatt family. Now we can actually talk about wrestling all fucking together. See, what's all going on right now with we'll bring up the Vince McMahon thing. Is Vince McMahon's not even allowed to be on the property. He sold all his shit. He doesn't own anything with the WWE. They don't even want him on the property because if you guys don't realize, UFC, the people who own the UFC bought out the WWE stock, so they're pretty much the bosses with the WWE now. And Triple H is running everything with and Nick Khan got out just recently, and I know there's stuff coming out about him and pumping out, and that's going to be another thing coming. And Stephen McMahon's involved. The McMahons, for the rest of their time, after if they do go to court, people are gonna. Well, they're already looking at Vince already. They're gonna look at Stephanie differently, and a couple other things. Maybe even Triple H differently. I don't really haven't heard he's in the lawsuit. That's why he's still working with the WWE. His name isn't involved. But recently, Ronda Rousey has made claims. That's why they claimed they didn't fire Drew Gulak. His contract is in, but she claimed that he sexually had touched her wrong. He said he accidentally did, and he apologized. And then like a year later, she brought it up. Ronda Rousey quit the WWE about almost a year ago, and has said nothing but bad things about the WWE personally, not the wrestlers. She said she didn't have a problem with them. It's just that Vince McMahon was an asshole. And she went to AEW for one night. She did something with Ring of Honor. The one thing about Ronda Rousey is she's not that kind of person. And for her to say something like that, there's something that probably did happen. The WWE's had this issue before. That's what we're getting into, is all WWE controversy. And I think that Vince McMahon is probably never going to be – people are going to still like him because, you know, just like Chris Benoit, people like that dude. And I'm not even going to get into that. People take wrestling very seriously, like to the point where they believe the storylines, where they come into the ring and attack people. And that's why you have to be, like I said, with a Wyatt 6, we have to be very careful how this goes, because Bray Wyatt was very loved. And there's a lot of idiots out there that may do something dumb because you do something they don't like. And this is the kind of world we live in, and how weird people are. They take this shit very serious to the point where they'll kill people. And there's stuff I'm afraid of, especially the way things are now, that how popular he was. And I'd be very, very delicate of this situation, of what we're going to do with this group, especially what's going on with McMahon. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on with the WWE, but, you know, that's the WWE. There always been controversy with the steroid stuff and the deaths and Chris Benoit and what happened with Owen Hart. It's just how WWE is. Vince McMahon's been in a lot of trouble before for steroids and hitting on women in the past. And, you know, when you're a billionaire, you think you can do what you want, you know, and it's time. This isn't the same time and place as it was back in the 80s and 90s. You can get away with that. Now anybody could say anything. It doesn't matter if you did or did do it. It doesn't matter no more, guys. If people are going to believe it. Even if you get proven not guilty, your name's pretty much ruined for a long time. People are still going to think of opinion. You got to realize people do not like people making money. There's a lot of jealousy in the world. I'm just saying altogether. And that's a lot of it. People are jealous because they're not where they're at. That person's at. They think they should be there. And they'll make up any bullshit story. I'm talking about in all life, all the general. This is what happens. And this day and age, it doesn't matter if you have the truth. And even if you found not guilty, people still want to believe whatever they want to believe. That's what happens in life altogether. Like I said, the world could be orange and people are going to think it's green. Even if you have the proof, it doesn't fucking matter because people don't fucking care. They don't care about the truth anymore. That's why people think they're rich on Facebook and TikTok, and they think they're some kind of famous person because they got millions of views, but yet they're living at their parents' house at 30-something years old and not doing shit. And, you know, some of these people are making money and they're doing the adult-only stuff, but you got to realize if you get caught by your job, you're not going to have a job. And that shit's not going to last forever. There's always going to be somebody better looking than you and better content. And that'll last a couple years, and you make maybe a couple $100,000, and then it's gone. And most people go back to being broke. 85% of people go back to being broke because they have the same habits as they had before they got rich. It's what happens with the lottery. 75% of the people or 76% of people go broke because you have the same habits. And that's what I'm saying. Like, That's what I think I'm not now. What happened with Vince McMahon? I don't think that is. I think there is stuff that's been going on, and even Brock Lesnar's involved now. Um, he's had other issues in the past. I wouldn't put it past him. That's a whole different story. But like I was saying, I'm sorry to get off the subject, but we're getting into controversy with the WWE, so let's kind of lead into all this shit. Went from Bray Wyatt to controversy. I'm worried that this is going to be a good gimmick for about a year, and I think what's going to happen is some people are going to bitch about this wasn't done right. He got beat by this person. He should have won the title just like they did with Bray, or they're taking too long with the storyline, and then it goes nowhere. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. I'm very happy. Trust me, I love seeing this group, but I am very, very nervous about what's going to happen in the next 6-7 months. Now I'm happy about it. Netflix, are you going to try to make him like a monster? I mean, that's the only way I would be able to do this group. But if doing that, I mean, it's going to be your double-edged sword, because people are going to get pissed if they get beat. And if they, sometimes they want to, if it doesn't work, they'll just squash the idea. And I'm worried that the UFC isn't like the WWE. If it isn't making money, they'll get rid of it. You got to remember the WWE has to answer to them now, and it's not like it was. I mean, Triple H has a lot of room and leeway, but again, when it goes to Netflix, it's going to be different than being on USA that's had you for 35 years and you signed another contract. Netflix is a different breed. 80% of people in the world that have Netflix is going to see you, a bigger audience. You can't have stale stuff or stuff that doesn't make any sense, and that's what I'm kind of worried about. I'm glad they're doing it now, but I'm just worried that are they going to pull the whole monster more, where he's like the Undertaker, pretty much can't be hurt. And that worked in the 90s and the 2000s, but later on it's not going to work in this day and age because people are too into realistic. But it's a cool gimmick. I just don't. I'm glad it happened. I just don't know what they're going to do. And I know you probably agree with me, James, that that gimmick is going to be very hard to continuously keep going, because even Bray had an issue with doing it after a while, just recently, because when he left for a couple years, and then he went back to a different character, and people were in love with the Fiend, and he was going to actually bring the Fiend back, and he didn't even want to bring the Fiend back, and people bitched to the point where he was going to bring back that character a year later. And that's what I'm worried about. Like with Uncle Howdy, are they going to push this? It's going to be great at first, and then people are going to get pissed off if he gets beat by, say that he wrestles like the Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns beats him. People are going to get pissed, and oh yeah, he beat this person, but he couldn't beat this. And that's what I'm worried about, and what they're going to do with this group, because they had issues in the past with dealing with the Wyatt family, how to do this. And the Fiend was one of the biggest things. He got too popular, and they didn't care, and they killed off the character, even though it was the second most popular seller of all at the time, and did not care. And that should tell you something. So that being said, I'll let James go ahead and tell me what he thinks about that.
In my view, there's multiple poison pills here. There's multiple things built in to this that are going to derail it, I think. First and foremost, if you are a big fan of Batman, and you even liked Batman and Robin, and then Batman dies, who's going to watch the Robin show? And that's kind of what we got here. Bray was a lot of things. He was entertaining, he was a genius, but he was also a huge pain in the ass from a fan's perspective, because it took, like old boy said, forever to get anything done. And he never stuck to one freaking idea. He was bouncing off the damn walls all the time. That's the way creative geniuses are a lot of times. And in this case, at first, everybody's kind of was stoked for this because Bray died and people loved Bray. So they were like, yeah, let's see this as a tribute, But the problem is, what WWE did is what they always do, is they just take too damn long to do everything. And instead of getting it done in a timely manner when people were actually wanting to see it and it was still fresh and everybody was still happy about seeing it, they waited until people started bitching online about it, that it was already taking too long, they're dragging it out too much, we don't even give a shit anymore if there ever is another Wyatt family, you know? So you're going into this starting out at a deficit because people are already annoyed instead of being happy to see it, you know? I wasn't even a big Bray Wyatt fan, you know? I didn't get it. Most of the stuff he did, I didn't get it. Then I watched the Bray Wyatt documentary on Peacock. And after that documentary, I liked him a lot more, you know. Not because I suddenly understood what he was doing or anything like that, but simply because I got to know the man. I had the same thing happen with the Cody Rhodes documentary. I was not a fan of Cody Rhodes at all. I thought Cody Rhodes was overrated. I still think he's overrated, to be honest with you. I don't think that he should be champ. I don't think he can carry it. You know, that babyface good guy bullshit, it only goes so far before it just gets old and you see right through it. And it's not that you can't be a good guy. Hogan was a good guy for a long, long time. And he ran wrestling for a long, long time. It's not that. It's just Cody Rhodes is overly nice. You know, he makes sure he goes and he talks to, you know, the Spanish announce team and the timekeeper and all these people, and he shakes their hand and just all this stuff that's just obviously pandering, you know, trying to be nice for nice sake. And that gets old, and that doesn't come across as real to me. And the problem with the Wyatt family thing coming up again is that it's not Bray. So it'll be okay for a very short amount of time as a tribute. People will tolerate it as a tribute. And it'll enable them to cheer again for Bray and show their love once again for Bray. But if they try to make this into a long-standing gimmick that continues, they're going to run into some major issues, especially since they don't have two of the most popular people that could be in it. You know, if Alexa Bliss is not coming back to be part of the family, if she's going to do something else, that character was iconic. It's the best character Alexis Bliss has ever done. And for her to come back and not do it, that's going to hurt that family. That whole storyline is going to suffer because of it. And unless they work Braun Strowman in somehow, that doesn't make sense to me either, because Braun was one of the originals in the Wyatt family as well. He was there very early. So to not have him in it, but he's in the WWE, that's another thing that's going to make him fail, you know? I mean, they could always do something where they do like a rivalry between Braun and the family. I mean, that's been done a million times, but they could try to do that again, but it's not going to be as good as if he was actually in it. And in my view, why wouldn't he be? You know, what the hell is he doing that's so special? He's buddying up to the LWO, you know, doing that stupid twirly-girly thing and running around the damn ring and running people over. And he's a joke now. And he shouldn't be a joke because he's a gigantic, big guy. I mean, he was billed as the monster among monsters and all this stuff, and he was supposed to be this unstoppable force, and they jobbed him out for a while. They put him with Ricochet, who's one of the most overrated mid-card guys I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, he's agile and he can do flippy stuff, but he can't talk worth a damn, and he's not interesting at all. He gets old so fast. One of the highlights on Raw recently for me was when Braun Breaker put him through a car windshield. Because that guy's annoying as hell, Ricochet. I hope he don't come back. You know, I hope he goes and does something else, because I'm tired of them pushing his suck down my throat every week. I don't want to see it. You know, he's okay to come in and have a short match in the middle of the card somewhere where he does some high spots and then goes away. Trying to push him as a champion or sell him as a legitimate threat to somebody the size of a Braun Breaker or somebody the size of, what the hell's that guy's name from he's oh man, it's the guy that does a tsunami from Australia. I can't remember his damn name now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, that dude, you guys all know who I'm talking about.
Reed.
Bronson Reed, thank you, sir. Yeah, to pretend like he's a credible threat to somebody like a Bronson Reed is just a joke. Bronson Reed would crush that dude in no time. Bronson Reed is a hell of a wrestler. He's a hell of an agile guy for a big guy. To be able to go off the top rope like that, and some of the stuff he does is spectacular. I mean, hell, even to pretend that he's a credible threat to somebody like a Chad Gable, who's also a small guy, but he's an Olympian and an accomplished actual wrestler, you know, amateur wrestler and now a professional wrestler. And that's a guy that I want to talk about too, because I understand they had to do something different with him because for whatever reason they thought he wasn't getting over. But when he was actually trying to beat Gunther, that was a good storyline, and he was doing good, and the people were behind him. They should have allowed it, but they didn't, because they wanted Gunther to be able to beat the record, and for some reason they wanted the number of days to be 666, which I think is disgusting. I don't understand why they did that. You know, it would make sense if it was the Undertaker or somebody like that, and you want to kind of tongue-in-cheek do the 666 number to say, "Oh, look, he's so dark and evil," but it's Gunther, man. It's not even a dark supernatural character. Why do you have to make it 666? What are you doing? All you're doing is alienating a lot of your audience, because I know a lot of people that aren't even Christians that saw that, and when they announced it multiple times. His reign is 666 days. They announced it for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, bragging about it. And I know multiple people who aren't even Christians who are like, that's not cool. You know, you're just throwing the mark of the beast, the number of the devil right there in everybody's face. And it doesn't make sense in the story. Like I said, Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, somebody like that makes sense. I still don't like it, but it makes sense. Gunther, it makes no sense. It's stupid. You did it just to do it. Now, did you do it just to kind of give the middle finger to part of your fan base? Or did you do it for some other darker, ulterior motive purpose? Are you guys in the WWE wrapped up in all this shit that Hollywood's been doing? With the Me Too movement and we see what's happening with Vince. Is there a lot worse stuff coming? Is there a lot darker stuff coming? You know, that's what I worry about when I see things like that. And you guys might think, oh, come on, James, it's just a stupid number. But explain it then. Why? It doesn't make any sense to have the reign be 666 days. And if you tell me that's a coincidence, you're full of shit. They did that on purpose. So why? Wasn't a dark character, wasn't a supernatural character. He didn't turn dark or supernatural afterwards. He's the same Gunther he's always been. So why do it 666 days? Is this one of those things they talk about all the time online where it's some kind of symbol to other members of the occult? Is it some kind of Illuminati deal? I mean, what the hell's going on? Why would you do that? It disappoints me. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, dude. I watched Hogan beat the Sheik for the title in Madison Square Garden way back in like 84, 85, whatever it was, mid-80s. I mean, I've been watching this my whole life. I'm a fan my whole life. It's not like I'm some guy that just came to wrestling. I love wrestling, and I've watched a lot of dark supernatural stuff from Undertaker, Bray Wyatt. Remember Gangrel and the Brood? That's when Edge and Christian first came out. A lot of that kind of stuff I've seen over the years. And it's all kind of dark and supernatural, but it's fine, you know, because it's a story and all that. I get it. This is not that. You know, this made absolutely no sense in the storyline. This is just doing it just to be able to have that number. in the record books, just to be able to have that number to every time you talk about it, you get to say that number. And that's bullshit to me. And I don't even care whether you believe in God or not. That's still bullshit. You know, it's just, it's poser, man. That's what it is. It's either something dark and fucked up, or it's completely being a poser and just trying to look cool. You know, and either way, it's stupid and it sucks. But I think that the new Wyatt family thing, I think that's bound to fail. And I think that's sad. I wish they wouldn't have done it. You know, Old Boy said if they do it right, then it might be cool, but they're already showing us that they're not doing it right. They took way too long to bring it out to where people are annoyed now. And they didn't wait for Alexis Bliss to come back to have it. Braun's not involved right now. So what the hell are you doing? I like the fact that Nikki Cross is in it. Don't get me wrong. I love Nikki Cross, man. I loved her when she was Nikki Ash. I always thought she was underutilized and a very talented wrestler. I really dig her a lot, like a lot. And she is a brilliant girl, too. You know, she's going to school and she's making some of herself as well. I'm all for her, 100%. I hope that she comes out great. I'm so glad that they're using her for something, because they were just making her look stupid for a long time, and it really is not cool. You know, I hate it when they do that. You know, I hate what they've done to Chad Gable. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. Chad Gable is the next Kurt Angle. I mean, let's just be honest about it. And there's no reason that he should be doing anything other than Kurt Angle stuff. You know, why make him this asshole that's abusing his people that have stood by him? Why? That doesn't make any sense. The Alpha Academy was one of the highlights of the damn show. You guys might think they're jobbers or that they're mid-card guys. That's fine. But they were entertaining as hell. You know, you got Big Otis doing the worm and ripping his shirt off and doing the shake and all that stuff, man. That's fun. You got Zakawi doing that goofy dance he does, man. I love that guy. You know? They're a great group. Why screw that up? It doesn't make any sense. If you want to give Chad Gable a push, just give him a push, man. You had a chance when he was wrestling Gunther, but you screwed it up. That's what they always do. And I know I'm sounding negative about WWE, and that's not my intention. I'm a lifelong fan. I love wrestling. I never miss it. I watch Raw on Monday, NXT on Tuesday, and SmackDown on Friday. I never miss a pay-per-view. I love WWE, okay? I'm not trying to be critical of it, but it sucks when you see the same dumb shit happening over and over and over again. They make the same mistakes. They did it with Sammy, where they took way too long when they should have given him the title in Canada. That was the perfect time to do it. Why? Why build him up? Why go through all of that bloodline shit and feeling Uzi and all the cool stuff he did and make everybody care so much just to give us the finger and not do it? I hate what they did to Drew. You know, I hate the fact that Drew McIntyre just got cheated by CM Punk again at Clash of the Castle in Scotland in front of his people. Why do that? That makes no sense. So you can keep Damian Priest as the champ? I think the only reason Damian Priest is the champ is because Seth got hurt. You know, Seth needed a break, man. His back is all jacked up. He just had a baby. He's worn out. I mean, he needed a break, so you need somebody to take the mantle. I get it. But you gave it to Drew McIntyre, then you have him lose it to Priest with the Money in the Bank like that. Now, I think they did that because they gave Damian Priest the Money in the Bank briefcase, but they didn't know what the hell to do with him because they're like, well, he's not ready to be champ, so now what do we do? Do we have him cash in and fail? Or do we can use him to kind of fill this little gap while Seth is off, and then when he comes back, he can get it back? I think that was the intention, but why screw over Drew to do that? It makes no sense. And then why job him out again, man, at Clash of the Castle? That is a slap in the damn face. Now, I don't know whether him quitting is just an angle and he's going to be back and it's a storyline thing. It very well could be. Most likely it is because he just signed a contract. So most likely that's exactly what it is. But I'll say this. If it is real that he quit, I don't blame him a bit. I don't blame him a bit. He is too damn good. to be treated this way. You know, I understand that the titles don't mean anything. I get it, man. I know that it's scripted. I know that they're not really the champ, that it's all storyline. I understand all that. I'm not some noob that you have to explain that to. I get it. But what I'm saying is it's disrespectful as hell to make him look stupid like that in front of his people. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. You let Alba fire and then win the tag titles. Why not Drew? I don't understand. I just don't get it. If you're not gonna allow him to win, or at least have it be a damn good match, and have him lose because the Judgment Day comes out and screws him over, like they always do, like the whole Bloodline deal, right? The Judgment Day does the same thing. A bunch of them come out, they distract the referee, they cheat, and they win. Why not do it that way? Why have it with CM Punk, where he comes to count and makes him look stupid and all that crap? Why do that? That's just insulting to me. And I don't think that Drew deserves that, man. You know, now, once again, storyline, I know that Drew knew what was going to happen. I know that none of this shit is real. But it's, as somebody watching it, it's just like, you're like, dude, come on, why? Again, you're going to screw him over again like this? You know, he doesn't deserve it, man. It's bullshit. He said it himself in the ring many, many times, so I'll just repeat that. You know, during the pandemic, he carried the mantle for him. You know, he went out there and he carried everything. He was their champ when there wasn't anybody in the seats, and when everybody was too afraid to go watch wrestling or they weren't allowed. He did that. He went out there and worked his ass off and carried the company during that time period when it very well could have collapsed. Because I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really like watching wrestling then, because it sucked, man. Without a live crowd, it sucked in an empty arena, or in the performance center, watching them wrestle with no sound from the crowd, nothing going on. It was just too quiet. It sounded like they were wrestling in an empty gym. It was horrible. And then when they brought in those screens with all the little faces and the bullshit, that was even worse, you know? And he went through all that, and he carried it during that time period. Okay, so I'm not saying he's the hero of the year for doing it. All I'm saying is, don't you think he deserves a little bit better than to be treated like a punk in front of his home? That's all I'm saying, you know? And once again, I get it, storyline. I know I sound like a crazy person. I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense to me. And for CM Punk, a guy that a lot of people like, that trashed the company, just trashed him for years, ran that stupid little mouth of his for years about the WWE, trashed him, dude. And then you're going to job out Drew McIntyre, a guy that carried your company during the worst period of your company. You're going to job him out to make CM Punk look good. The guy that trashed you. That just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, you know? CM Punk is one of those guys, it's like, I like the song. I'm a big fan of Living Color. I remember when that came out when I was young. You know, Cult of Personality, that was a badass song. Living Color was an amazing band. So whenever I hear that song play when he comes out, I'm stoked. Not because CM Punk is coming out, just because I love that song, man. And be able to hear it again is awesome, you know? But CM Punk is one of those guys that it's like, you're not credible, dude. You come out there and you say you're the best in the world and all this stuff, and you run your mouth on the mic and you act like you can beat everybody. You're a little pipsqueak. I mean, you're a little tiny pipsqueak of a guy, dude. You're not a big guy. You're not a tough guy. You know, back in the day, you could pretend like you were a tough guy because everybody was like, well, maybe he's a badass. Who knows? Little guys can be badasses sometimes. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But then he went and fought for real, like in mixed martial arts. And we saw him get his ass kicked. And he sucked. And we're like, okay, well, CM Punk is not a badass. He's got balls. I mean, I'll give him that. He got in there and fought. You know, he's not a coward, but he's not a badass. And to say that he could even hold his own with somebody like the size of a Drew McIntyre is ridiculous. I mean, for context, Drew McIntyre is like 6'5" and like around 300, I think, right? That's my size. That's how big I am. 6'5", 300 pounds. That's me. Okay. So little bitty 5 foot nothing CM Punk weighing in at a $130, $140 if he's lucky, something like that. He ain't doing nothing to Drew McIntyre, dude. There's no way. 120? Is that what you said? 200 pounds is what CM Punk weighs.
225.
There's no way that little dude weighs 225 pounds.
And he's old, and CM Punk's 6 foot tall.
He might be like, remember old Crash Holly weighing in at allegedly over 400 pounds? You remember that shit back in the day? I don't believe that CM Punk is 6 foot tall and weighs that much. He's not that big, man. He's a little tiny guy. He barely goes over the ropes. He's like the size of the female wrestlers.
He's bigger. If you look at him when he's like right now, he hasn't been wrestling. He's put a bunch of muscle on. He's measured at 6 foot, but he's like 5'11". Because I watched him in UFC. His actual was 5'11 and a half. They had him measured. He was like he was fighting in the UFC at 185 pounds. He's actually bigger than what you think. Drew McIntyre is 6'5", 260 to 270 pounds, but he's just he's a big muscular guy. Remember, we are dealing with wrestling. Ricochet's going to AEW. That's why they had him destroyed. And I understand you don't like Ricochet, but how they destroyed Braun, Ricochet was in the company for 6 years, and them to do what they did, just destroy him off of camera because he didn't want to sign his contract. While his wife, that the announcer is his fiance, and now they're saying that she might leave, and she's pretty damn good. Ricochet's you're right. He's more of a mid card, but you got to realize that WWE did not use him right. When he came into NXT, he was actually a big name. They just once they threw them into the WWE, he was hot for a while, and then they lost it. Just like you said, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn should have won the title in Canada, but they're not going to do it because they wanted to push Roman Reigns to get past Hulk Hogan's record, and they still didn't do it. They let Cody have the title. And Cody's boring. He's a great guy. He could talk. Now, him being a heel, let's not say this because I never thought Roman was ever going to be what he was, and I was wrong. I'll say this 6 years ago. I said some shit about Roman Reigns, but I said if he ever became the heel, he'd be the #1 heel of all time, and he is. And he did with Paul Heyman. And I said if he used somebody like Paul Heyman, and we can go back to that show, and he did. It made him who he.
How good is Paul Heyman? All right, let's just say that on the record right now. That dude's like the GOAT of announcing type, mic working manager type guys, man. Paul Heyman is awesome. He can he's one of those guys they give anybody to. Like, guy can't talk, give him to Paul, and he'll make him amazing. You know what I mean? Paul Heyman is the man.
Paul Heyman is probably the best mind in the wrestling, one of them. And I'm going to show you. Glad you brought up Paul Heyman. And we're going to go with Paul Heyman is the reason The Undertaker's in the WWE. Because in WCW, he was in the Twin Towers. And WCW in the 80s didn't see nothing with The Undertaker. So Paul called the WWE, said, we might have this guy for you. He ended up being in the WWE. Paul Heyman was The Undertaker's first manager in WCW. I always say WCW because I never liked I'm going to tell you this right now. The only time I watched WCW was when the NWO was blowing. I loved the NWO at the time. But that was it. I couldn't stand Goldberg. I couldn't stand Ric Flair is somebody it caught on me. I loved what you didn't like him when I was younger, but now I like him now because he lasted so long. But yes, Ricochet's going to AEW. I think he'll be better off there because that's a different kind of wrestling. And I watch everything just like James. Every pay-per-view. I watch AEW on Wednesdays and Saturdays and Fridays, and the WWE Fridays. I don't watch NXT too much. I haven't really got into it. I watch it once in a while because some of the stuff has been kind of cool with TNA. I try to watch TNA on Thursdays, but it's just hard to watch everything on wrestling. The WWE right now, this is what irritates me about them, like Jane was saying. All year they were pushing Seth Rollins to The Rock came back. Let's throw The Rock in the main event. This is something that pisses me off about the WWE. And I get it, you got to make money. They'll have people main eventing for 8 or 9 months, and then as soon as WrestleMania time comes out, here comes John Cena, here comes The Rock, here comes all these assholes that, we'll throw them in the main event. Now, The Rock was a different story, but he hadn't been wrestling for 7 years, and they threw him in the main event. And my personal opinion is, and I get it, where they're going to go with this, because I know he's going to wrestle Cody in a year. But now he got hurt again. He's 50-something years old. Yes, he's in great shape. I wish I was in that shape. But again, during a movie, he fucked his elbow up, and now WrestleMania might be in jeopardy. And the problem I have with this is The Undertaker coming out at WrestleMania, he wasn't supposed to be the guy to come out. It was Stone Cold. They couldn't get a deal fast enough. So Stone Cold said no. So they threw The Undertaker, and people said, what's Undertaker have to do with The Rock? They had a big time storyline for a long time too. Not as big as Stone Cold and The Rock or Vince McMahon, but The Undertaker had a big thing with his cousin Yokozuna, and people don't realize that The Rock's related to Yokozuna, and they had a big old school rivalry. And that was kind of some of what they were going by. And The Undertaker used to hang out with their family, the BSK. That was like a clique in wrestling. There was the clique with Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, X-Pac. They really hanged out like that. And a couple other people. And then you had The Undertaker, Yokozuna, Haku, some of the head shrinkers, Minion, a whole bunch of Rikishi. They all kicked it. And they were called the BSK. He actually had his tattooed on his stomach. It was a clique. And I'll tell you this right now, to tell you the kind of a badass The Undertaker is, when Samoans have respect for you like they do, that and you're allowed to tattoo on your stomach, that should tell you what kind of person The Undertaker is. But that's why Undertaker had that history with The Rock. That's why people are why it didn't make any sense. It did make sense to a point when you bring up the Yokozuna, because they had a big time rivalry. And so did Rikishi and The Undertaker, again, his nephew. Yeah, it's all family. The Paul Heyman, getting back to this, brought Brock Lesnar, who couldn't talk well. He was a great wrestler, but when Paul took over, Lesnar blew up. Didn't even have to say nothing. Lesnar. I think Paul Heyman, and people are going to say Roman is his best character. I don't think so. I think Lesnar was, because if you look at it, Roman could talk to a point. Lesnar couldn't. Lesnar talks now a little bit, and he got in the UFC, so he got bigger than ever when he went to UFC and won the championship. But when he came back, Lesnar, he did a run by himself, and then Heyman had to come back, and Heyman makes it more interesting, because Lesnar's this beast, but he doesn't talk like Mike Tyson. But Paul he just did something different. And then he made it even better with Roman. He took Roman, who was a babyface that no one liked and couldn't even fucking stand, and made him into the biggest star in wrestling right now. And he did with CM Punk. CM Punk, yeah, he was popular, but he started going down, and he ended up managing CM Punk for a year or over a year. And CM Punk had this 420-something 32-day reign, and that's where he got the biggest at, because Paul pushed him. He's a Paul Heyman guy. ECW. That, if you guys don't realize what ECW, not the bullshit that WWE tried to remake, ECW was owned by, I guess he got the money from Vince McMahon, but he ran his own shit, and that was something no one ever seen. ECW in the 90s was off the hook. Some of the biggest names came from there. Jericho, Stone Cold, Mankind was there. He was Cactus Jack at the time. Taz, RVD, Rhino probably has the best spear of anybody. That guy was, he's still cool, but he did the gore, but that guy could hit a spear better than Goldberg. And Edge. I like Edge, but I think he has the gore or whatever. I thought he was bad. They just were something different. Raven matches with Tommy Dreamer were outrageous. Some of the stuff they were doing. The Dudley Boys throwing women through tables. I remember that's where that started. That was crazy. No one ever did anything. They were extreme. There was some the Sandman come out and hit himself with the what was it called, the kendo stick, and Al Snow, he had the mannequin head, and all he said, "I want a head." That shit was funny. So it's just some of the wrestling was different. Like Rey Mysterio started. I mean, he was in WCW when he went to ECW. People, that's where he got, and he went to WCW and became who he is. But he was in ECW, and even Guerrero was in ACW for a while. I mean ECW. They went to Philadelphia, the Hammer Arena. That was one of the most. They still do stuff. That crowd in Philadelphia is probably rivals crowds in Europe. A lot of people have this European crowds are the best, I think, and Canadian fans are really great. They're right there, those two, and then Philadelphia and Chicago fans. Those are and the Madison Square Garden. Those are the three biggest ones in America, in my opinion. But ECW is still there. RVD's in AEW. He's still wrestling. I don't know why. Jerry Lynn, who was in ECW, is doing a lot of stuff for AEW as a producer, and he's working there. I know you remember that name. He's in the AEW. Taz is in AEW. His son Hook. I don't know if you've seen Hook. Hook is a taller, skinnier version, but if you've seen Hook, you look at him, he ain't gonna do shit. Guy's 190 pounds. The dude's throwing around 7-foot people like they were nothing. Because his dad taught him. His dad broke his neck, but his dad, even at 5'8", that guy was like a pit bull, dude. The guy was amazing. He used to throw people on their head, and they were 300 pounds. He's just like his dad, but taller. Can't talk good on the mic, but another ECW product. They're using the FTW title in AEW. Where do you think that came from? Taz's title in ECW. Their AEW still today is still around. It may not be the name, but Paul Heyman, he's the one that started it. It's just that Paul Heyman, in my opinion, is probably the greatest manager and probably one of the greatest talkers of all time as a manager. And I like the guy. And I'm going to tell you a story. I seen Paul Heyman in my state. I was driving with these girls, and he was coming into Victorville. He was leaving. I could tell he was going to the freeway. And he had that hat on and his ponytail. And this is when he was doing ECW. And I knew it was him. And I said, "It's Paulie." So I had this chick, and she was really cute at the time. I liked her. Cute, really beautiful at the time. I was about 18, 19. And she's all, "Are you Paulie?" And he's all, "Wait." I said, "ECW." And he just smiled and kept going. I knew it was him. And he had the jacket on, and I knew he was coming. He's probably going through from Vegas or something. And it was him, and he smiled, and he just gave me the thumbs up. But he knew when I said ECW that he knew who I was. And it was funny because he just kept going. But it was him. And I wish I could have met the guy because he's like one of my. I love the guy. When he gets on the mic, dude, he just knows how to talk. He's a coward. He always gets his ass kicked, or somebody grabs him. He has that look like he's gonna piss himself, but he just knows how to piss people off, and he knows how to push buttons. And some of the stuff that he's done, like when Paul Bearer died, and people don't realize Paul Bearer was a great manager even before he was Paul Bearer. He did the Texas Tornado. He's a big Kerry Von Erich. He was their manager in AWA. Remember that? And NWA. But he had a very crazy, twisted sense of humor, and people got mad. Oh, they're disrespecting the Undertaker and the Urn and Paul Bearer when they dumped it on. Undertaker said Paul would have been loving it, and his son said that's just the kind of person he was. He'd do anything for wrestling, and wrestling, people got to realize it's controversial. A lot of stuff at the WWE in the 90s is going to come back in 2025, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off even on Netflix. I think people are going to get pissed. Do you remember Dana White is a big Trump supporter, and he owns part of the WWE now? So the 666 thing, I don't know that. You got to remember that Dana White's a bit, he's a big born again Christian. So I don't know if he would let that, but I don't know who the other owner is and what he believes in. But Dana White is one of the owners of the WWE now because they all merged together at UFC. The 666 thing being who I am was a little weird to me because, I mean, I don't know if it was just kind of a meant for a little, it could be a joke maybe, but Gunther wasn't that guy. Maybe I could see it, like you said, with Bray Wyatt, or if it was The Undertaker, or even the Wyatt family, or maybe Karrion Kross. That would have made some sense. Like Karrion Kross. Now, if it was Karrion Kross who ended the streak at 666, that would have made some sense. Because, Karrion Kross is a pretty satanic character with him and his wife, kind of that whole pagan thing. That would have made some sense. But I don't know why. What they should have done is had him the night before 665, then lose the title. I don't know if it was meant to be, but they should have had Chad Gable beat Gunther in the first place. And now they made Chad look, I know he signed a contract to re-sign with the WWE. And then, after he signed his contract, they had him get, people are making fun of Chad now because they showed him getting beat up by, if you saw when Uncle Howdy came out, fucking Chad's busted open like he's dead. So everybody's all like, they killed him. They made him look stupid. And Chad Gable is a Kurt Angle. I wish he would have went to AEW because they were trying to get him. And it didn't happen. And okay, go back to being a mid-carder because that's what's going to happen. Yeah, they might give him. They're going to give him that group. What do they call them? The Apollo Twins, the two wrestling guys. That's who they're going to join up with Gable. That's what I've been hearing.
Talking about the Creed brothers.
Yeah, the Creed brothers and their chick, that girl, they're going to join him in the next couple weeks, and they're going to betray Otis. I don't like Otis. I think he's an idiot. I mean, people think he's funny, but I didn't. I like Chad Gable. I'm not a big fan of Otis. I never have been. I thought it was a cool little group for, like you said, for the mid-card, though, that made sense. It made sense for them. Jade, I don't know I love Jade in AEW, but I don't know if you saw, she fell and tripped over the ropes, and then she got choked out, and that really happened.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that. I forgot about that. That's one of the things I want to talk about in the beginning. A lot of people were giving Jade a bunch of grief, talking shit because they said she did all these botches. And before I get into this, I want to say I am not a mark for Jade Cargill. I'm not a huge fan of her. She's all right. I love her entrance. I love the whole Storm thing with the white hair, X-Men tie-in. That's really cool. And I think that she could be amazing at some point. You know what I mean? The problem I have is they're trying to make her too big, and she doesn't have the ability yet. She doesn't have the training yet, really. But that being said, I don't hold the slip off the ropes. I don't hold that against her. Because you saw what happened to Damian Priest later. Those ropes, and you saw when AJ Styles was out, you could see the referee telling him, hey, these ropes are way too loose, so be careful. So they screwed up the ropes. They didn't put the ropes on as tight. And you could tell, because when the ropes are proper, you can tell whenever somebody hits the ropes, you can see them do this. Do that little bounce thing that they do. And they weren't doing that much at all during the night. They were too loose. There was multiple people that had issues with the ropes falling or slipping or something like that throughout the night. So I don't hold that against her. The tap out to Shayna Baszler. I think what happened there was a good old-fashioned receipt. I think what happened there is that Jade kind of laid into Shayna a little hard. And when Shayna put on the Karafuda clutch, I think she was really choking that chick. Because when she tapped, you could see in her eyes, like you can tell when somebody's selling, and then you can tell when somebody's like, oh shit, this sucks. Like there's a difference in the eyes. Like if you watch UFC, when somebody's getting choked, there's that that even on guys that are used to being choked, there's that panic when it's sunk in good and it sucks. They had a little bit of panic in the eyes. You could see that in Jade's eyes when she tapped. I think what that was a good old-fashioned receipt of Shayna letting her know, hey, you need to chill the hell out. You're going a little hard here, and you're laying in a little heavy, and I'm just letting you know I can fuck you up. So you need to chill out. You know, much like with Lesnar when he knocked the shit out of Braun Strowman when Strowman hit him too hard and he jacked his jaw a couple times for him. Good old-fashioned receipt. It happens all the time. I think that's what that tap was. And I think the fact that Jade is so green, she reacted without realizing, hey, I'm really not supposed to do this, because if the referee would have been right there and would have seen that, then she would have had to either pretend like she didn't see it, which would have made it look stupid, or she would have had to call for the submission. You know what I mean? So I think that's her being green. But I think that's what happened in those two cases. But what I want to talk about with the ropes is it doesn't make any sense to have a pay-per-view. Okay, one of your they don't call them pay-per-views anymore. They call them PLEs, premium live events. So to have one of your premium live events and not have the ring right, that doesn't make any sense. And this is an ongoing issue that I've noticed with the WWE. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple months ago, one of the things Braun Breaker does, he's famous for running the ropes back and forth and delivering that spear. And they're always talking about it. He runs the ropes at like 26 miles an hour or some shit. But there was one week on Raw when he was running the ropes and he went right through them. And the top rope snapped over his head and damn near decapitated. I don't know if you guys remember that. But that night, the ropes weren't tight enough either. And it almost ended his career. He got very lucky. I think the only reason he was okay is because he's got a fucking tree trunk for a neck. You know what I mean? That dude is built. So I think that saved his butt. But that was a scary, scary moment. And during the Clash of the Castle, there was a lot of botches with having to do with those ropes. You know, and it was not a safe environment. And I don't know how Damian Priest finished the match after what he did. I mean, getting his foot caught in the rope and coming down, almost slamming his dome into the ground. I mean, that was nasty. And you can see him limping, and he's still limping. And one way I know it wasn't BS is because if you looked at his leg after he got out of the ropes, you compare it to his other leg, you can see that it messed up his pants. The leather on his pants was actually ripped to the side, and it was crinkled up to where it completely stripped it up. And I think it's a good thing that he had those pants on that were either leather or a pleather type material that was a lot harder, because I think if it wouldn't have been for that, I think it would have been a bad news. Because what people don't realize is that the ropes, that's what they are. They're actual rope. And it's just got tape over top of the rope. So that's not a soft thing that you're bumping against there. You know, so imagine going full speed, all of your momentum of your big giant frame pulling down, plus the kinetic energy of that weight moving at speed off the ropes and then diving, and then you're falling down, getting caught in those ropes, and it just skinning right down your leg at speed. It's worse than rope burn. I mean, you're talking about peeling the skin off of your leg. I mean, that could have been so much worse. And I don't know how he finished, because you could tell from the moment he got up and started moving around, he was in pain. You know what I mean? And I know that's what those guys do. They're superhuman sometimes when it comes to that. I watched Triple H not once, but twice wrestle and finish a match after his quad had completely separated from his bone. It like tore off the bone and rolled up like one of them old blinds, those old roll blinds, and roll up. His quad rolled all the way up, and you could see it at the top of his thigh, just sitting there. And I watched him finish 2 matches like that. So I know the guys are tough, you know what I mean? But it was nuts. And speaking of that, do you remember, and this is one of the funniest moments I've ever seen, do you remember when Vince come running down at the Royal Rumble because they landed at the same time? And there was that big botch and screwed everything up. And Vince comes running down and dives underneath the bottom rope and slides into the ring, and he's going to start running his mouth. But when he dove, he tore his quad. So he couldn't get back up. He tried to stand back up and fell, tried to stand back up and fell. So he ended up just sitting in the ring, yelling at everybody and pointing his finger. That shit was hilarious. Now, I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was a hell of a thing to see. So these guys get hurt and they're tough as nails, and I'm not taking anything away from them. But it worries me when I see that on multiple occasions, because something like that can end up with a tragedy. Something like that can end up ending somebody's career or ending their life, and we saw how dangerous the ropes can be with Owen. I mean, now granted, Owen fell from a zip line. He was being lowered down. He fell and hit the ropes. That's a different scenario, I understand, but that's dangerous. I mean, anytime you're dealing with any of these high spots or any of these catapult type moves off of the ropes that a lot of the little guys do and a lot of the luchadors do, man, you got to be on. You got to make sure everything's right, because you're going to get hurt if you mess up. And having those ropes not right and it becoming an issue that's happened multiple times is unacceptable. And they really need to get on top of that and make sure that shit's right before they send their guys out there, because somebody could get hurt real bad. I mean, Jade fell, right? The ropes didn't have the proper tension. She got up there and couldn't jump right, and it fucked everything up, right? She fell. She got lucky. Imagine how bad that could have been, considering how green she is. She's not used to that kind of stuff happening to her. She doesn't, like a lot of the more experienced people, something goes wrong like that, they can kind of fall right, they can roll right, they kind of can adjust because they've done it so many times, But somebody new like her, man, that could have been it. And then you got all this hype, you got all this built up into her, and then her career's over because some dipshit didn't tighten the ropes properly, And last thing I want to say is about Ric Flair. Old boy brought up Ric Flair. I used to watch him back in the old days of, like, when I first started watching wrestling, I was in San Antonio, Texas, and I used to watch World Class Wrestling, and I had the Von Erichs in it and the Freebirds and all of them. And I remember Flair coming in and wrestling. I believe it was Kevin that he wrestled the first night. It was supposed to be the older brother, but it ended up being Kevin that he wrestled, and him beating him. And I was like, who is this guy? Who's this Flair guy? Because he was awesome. And then getting into watching, NWA and AWA back then and all that, and just seeing his career as he goes, and now seeing what he is today. It's crazy to me that he still does it at this age once in a while, and that he gets in there. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because remember, Mae Young off the top rope. You know what I mean? Taking back bumps off the top rope. Mae Young with her old ass. So yeah, man, it's a lifelong passion for me. I love wrestling. I love watching it. I'm not as much into AEW. And one thing I want to talk about that old boy was talking about earlier was WWE sending Shane over there, buying it, and having the AEW versus WWE thing. I don't want to see that, because it's already been done. I mean, they did it with WCW. They did that whole angle with WCW where you had Shane show up and I own it now, and now we're going to invade WWE and we're going to have this war, and it was lame as hell. And then you're going to have the same problem with AEW, because you got a couple guys there that are decent. A couple guys that I enjoy and would like to see come over. But you also have a lot of guys that aren't going to compete in WWE. It's just not the same caliber. And that's what we saw glaringly when WCW invaded. Was you had a couple guys that were good, but then you had the rest of them who were substandard, And I think that's the problem with AEW. You have some really good guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on AEW. You got some wrestlers there that are amazing, and I would love to see come over to WWE, but I don't want to see that whole one versus the other angle again. I would rather, if they're going to do that, for WWE just to buy it and then just come out and say, hey, we bought AEW and these are the guys we're bringing over to WWE, and then let the good ones come over and compete, and that'd be cool. You know what I mean? I'd be all for that. But I wouldn't want to see that invasion angle again. I'm worried about some of the guys from NXT that have come up. Like Dragunov, I worry about Dragunov. I love Dragunov, dude. I am such a mark for Ilya Dragunov. I love that dude's wrestling, and I'm such a fan. And I just pray that they don't job him out over and over and over again. They've already kind of started. He had this almost invincible kind of warrior vibe on NXT to where you might beat him, but you're going to know you're in a damn war. And it was always a 5-star match, and you always believed that he could win. And he was just amazing. And I just hope that they keep him that way and they use him right. I hope they don't job him out and he ends up being a joke, because he could be one of the biggest stars in wrestling if they use him correctly. He is amazing, And there's several people down in NXT for many years. I thought the same thing about Braun Breaker. I was like, why the hell haven't they brought him up yet? When they started bringing people up, and they're bringing up people that, frankly, and this is rude to say, but they're not worthy of washing Braun Breaker's jock. And you got Braun Breaker still down in NXT, and you're like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing up this person or this person when you got this guy down there still, and you got Dragunov down there still? Like, they brought up Carmelo Hayes, and I never understood Carmelo Hayes. I don't get it. He's not that good. I mean, yeah, he can do a couple high spots, but he's annoying, man. That stupid braggadocious nonsense that we've heard a million times from a million different people. It's old. It's played out. I guess we're supposed to think it's fresh and new because of his skin color or something. I guess that's what we're supposed to do. But I don't want to do that. I don't care about that. Melo, he could be good because he's talented, but I don't like the attitude that he has. And he had it in NXT, but he has it way worse now than he did in NXT. Now it's like on steroids. Now it's really, really built up. And then Tiffany Stratton. I mean, what can you say about Tiffany Stratton? She was annoying as shit in NXT. And since she's come into WWE, I actually like her, which I did not think was going to happen, to be honest with you, because she annoyed the hell out of me. That whole Tiffy time and all that stuff in NXT was so annoying. But for some reason, when she came up, it's not as annoying. It's still a little bit annoying, but now it's supposed to be annoying. Does that make sense? Like, it's annoying, but it's not annoying just because it's annoying. It's annoying because that's her job, is to be annoying, so that you don't like her, but everybody's cheering for her anyway. And I think it's because she's just a hell of an athlete, and everybody can see the potential there that she could be the future of the women's division, I don't know. I'll let old boy say what he thinks about that, because I don't know if he likes Tiffany Stratton that much. But she turned me, man. I was not a fan at all. I couldn't stand her, and now I like her. I was always a Thea Hale person. I love that little thing. They don't use her properly either, I don't think.
They're kind of jobbing Camaro Hayes too. They had him get beat up by the Wyatt family, Dragunov. They're making him look, and Braun. They're building him up. They brought. They were doing really well. They brought Baron Corbin back to NXT, and he did well. Now they had him jobbing back at SmackDown. And Baron Corbin's a bad motherfucker. He's a boxer, Golden Glove in real life. And they fucked his character up, and then they tried to do it, and they did a good thing with him and Braun in NXT. And then they split him up. And then, yeah, Braun looks good, man. You know who he is. I don't understand why I get it, why they don't want to brag about the Rick Steiner thing, and that's his dad, and Scott Steiner is his uncle. He's like in between of both of them. The problem with Braun is I see where they're going with this, and they're going to make him the next big thing, and that's what they're doing. Except yesterday he fucked up and he fell off trying to get Sheamus but he's, like I said, he's still new. It happens. And Sheamus, Sheamus, I'm glad he's back. But Braun's, I think, is going to be the next big thing, and that's where they're going. And the sad thing is, I think Dragunov is either going to do two things. He's going to have to be bad, and to be like Camaro Hayes is going to have to be to do anything, because just like they did with Nakamura was great in NXT. They brought him to WD. They had him run, and then they had him lose the title match against Jinder Mahal. What made no sense when Nakamura won the Royal Rumble. This is the shit that WWE, it pisses me off, and they had him lose. and I was like, it totally killed him. And then they made him a bad guy for a while, and it worked. And then now they have him losing to everyone. Like recently, like 6 months ago, he was wrestling, being a bad guy, attacking people, and I like the gimmick they use. And they like, fuck it, we forgot about it. Just like Sammy, Zammy's gonna lose, and then you're not gonna hear much about him for 6 months. That's what. And if it wasn't for the bloodline thing, I think Sami Zayn would have been gone. But he got popular, and he's popular now. But as soon as he loses that title, man, it's gonna be the same thing. Jey Uso, they're talking about letting him win in Money in the Bank. I don't really want to see him win the title, but he's probably going to, and I don't like it. Yesterday he said he didn't want the Wyatt family to attack him. You're supposed to be a babyface. Why you care what the Wyatt family does? I mean, well, I don't want any smoke from them. So basically, what you're saying, you don't want to get your ass kicked by the Wyatt Six. And I was like, that kind of made him. He's supposed to be like the good guy. Why would he say that? It's kind of like a coward's way. It just. I think what they're going to do with Jey is they're going to make him bad again, and I see that happening. Him winning the title, and I was like, here we go. Damian Priest again was, I think, as a traditional wrestling champion. I think they were going to give the title to Drew, and they changed it. And what I heard, they changed the idea a couple days beforehand because they want to do this thing with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. I don't know who's going to win that match. I think somebody's going to interfere. It's probably going to be Drew. And we're going to have this 4-way thing between those 4 guys for the next 6 months, leading up to the Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the title at WrestleMania. What I've been hearing is the next, that's what the big match is going to be at WrestleMania next year. And Roman versus, it's either going to be Roman versus The Rock or Rhodes versus The Rock. Roman might be wrestling his family. It might be the bloodline, the old school bloodline with the original Usos against, the new one now. Because I know Roman's coming back soon, and I know that he's not going to be, the bloodlines are going to be at war. And that's probably going to be one of the other main events at WrestleMania. I think the problem is...
Oh, boy. Yeah. I got a question for you, brother. How crazy is it that we are like an hour 15, hour and 20 minutes into this? This is the first time we've mentioned the new bloodline. How crazy is that? Like, when Roman was ahead of the bloodline, that's all we would have been talking about for most of the damn show. They were that big a deal. That tells you right there how much of a flop the new bloodline has been. With Solo and the Tongas. I mean, that's telling, man. And this isn't planned. This isn't like something that we decided on. Like, literally, it never even occurred to me to talk about those guys for an hour and 20 minutes. I just wanted to say that because that just popped in my head. That's crazy, bro.
And the crazy thing is, Tonga is Haku's son. And if you know who Haku is, he was a bad motherfucker. Go listen to the story about Haku. You don't fuck with Haku. He fucked people up. Like, he pulled some guy's eye out. This guy was, Cowboy was walking by, and they were in their country, and he kicked dirt on this guy digging a hole, and he beat the shit out of that guy and could have killed him. And he said, don't you ever disrespect anybody. And Haku's a sweet guy, but he ain't no one you want to piss off in real life. And his son was crazy. He's the one that did the New Japan. They're the ones that started the Bullet Club with Finn Balor. I don't like what they're doing with the bloodline. I think it's stupid. Sokola, he was something great, and they made him look stupid. They had him lose like 56 matches to recently. That was stupid. They brought these 2 guys back, and they're really good wrestlers, and they made them look like fools. And they keep getting beat up by everybody. And they're going to beat Paul Heyman up eventually, and then Roman's going to come back, and they're going to have this big feud. And Rock's probably going to be involved with the bloodline on the other side of it with Sokola. And you're right that it's not the same. Having Roman have the title was dumb, letting him lose. I think he should have went on he should have had the title till next year. I think Cody should have went against Seth Rollins and beat Seth Rollins and had the title, and that would have ended it. And maybe next year he got his revenge. I think that people threw too much of a fit because originally it wasn't going to be Cody Rhodes, it was going to be The Rock. and Roman, and The Rock was going to win because Roman was going to take time off anyway. Or they were going to keep the title with Roman, and they should have just done that. Cody's a great wrestler, but he should be a heel. He got the title because, let's be honest, and this is the shot to the AEW. Cody helped make the AEW. He's in the WWE and he's got the championship for a reason. It's because of AEW. AEW has stepped up the game to the point where, because they're going to go on HBO to play, and their pay-per-views are no longer going to be paying. You're going to be able to watch it because they're doing a deal right now with Discovery too, to put HBO Max, all their wrestling on HBO Max, and they're going to go a little bit more extreme. That's why they're saying shit. And right now, Cody Rhodes is a champion because, one, it's a shot to AEW because he helped make it, and he won't even say nothing bad about AEW. He's even said he won't say nothing about them. Jade Carwell was another AEW champion, and the problem with Jade was she was having issues there with being green, and they took 8 months because the truth is Jade has messed up. Don't even know the ropes, and that was an issue. I saw it. But Jade has messed up before, and her tapping out. Shayna Baszler is no joke. She was in the UFC. She was best friends with. She could fuck you up, and trust me, that woman would fuck me up, dude. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that chick's big, dude. Like, people don't realize that she gets you in one of those chokeholds. I'm done. If you seen how big her arms are, she ain't no joke, bro. Ronda Rousey, I ain't gonna lie, she ain't the best puncher in the world, but I wouldn't want to fight Ronda Rousey. She gets you in the leg, you're done, dude. I don't care who you say you are. So these women are different. These are different athletes. These are athletes who can beat most men. Let's get it right now. This is different. This is Well, we're not going to go with athlete. Men or athletes like that. It's different, but they could. And I've seen it. These are different kind of athletes, and these people, that's probably what happened. And what I think happened was what you said. Jade got a little too wild in there, and Shayna put her in her place. And I also think Shayna didn't realize she had her locked in that hard either. I think she kind of, but it was kind of embarrassing because everybody saw her tap, and now kind of like, you really lost that match. You lost anyway and the reason they gave the titles to those girls is because something happened to one of the girls' parents, or some tragedy happened 2 weeks before that. I don't know what had happened. So that's why they got I know that's some of the reason they got the titles, and they changed because they weren't supposed to win it, was reading. And then that happened. So they kind of had to give the title to somebody because it was 3 matches with, the Piper had lost to Bailey. And I thought she was going to win that match, and she didn't. I like Bailey. I like her character now. I didn't think she was going to be able to pull the good guy, but they made her better. Not the original one was lame. I couldn't stand it, but I liked her as a bad girl, and now she's kind of in the middle, and I kind of like her character. I like her hair. I think she's a beautiful woman. Jade's a beautiful woman. I think Jade, when she came out like that, I was like, my wife loves Jade. So. That's her girl, but she doesn't like the character she's been been portraying lately. Plus, my wife's not a big fan of Bianca. I'm not a big fan of her. I like Jade. I think Jade's great. I think Jade is still green, like James is saying, and she does some things that she needs to learn she can't do. But I also think she's on a bigger platform now, and the truth is coming out what they saw in AEW. And that's why they didn't really push her like they could have, because there's rumors that this is the stuff that was going on. Now, AEW, the invasion would not be a good idea. Now, if you did a one-time pay-per-view once in a while, like they are with TNA, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're having AEW wrestle TNA. But I don't know if you just watched it, NXT, the girl beat the TNA champion. I don't know about 2 times now. I think it's cool, but I think, what are they going to do with this? Is this just going to be a couple times and then go back to being it? Is this going to be all the time? Kind of like Forbidden Door, they're just doing a one-time pay-per-view, and once in a while they have different wrestlers, and that would be cool. I think that's the way they should do it. Have one pay-per-view, have him wrestle one time. People will pay for the money. Once in a while, have him come in the Royal Rumble and have one come to AEW as somebody special, and they make all their money, and people will be happy. Like reunite the Shield for one night, send him over to WWE just to help out Roman in a match or something. Then send over the Hardy Boys to AEW. You know, I'm just showing you examples. It would be kind of cool, and do some kind of cinematic match with the Wyatt family and the House of Black. That'd be cool. But like Invasion would be stupid. But you got to remember when WCW got bought out, Sting, Ric Flair quit and did not want to go to WWE. Neither did Goldberg. If they would have went and the NWO would have went originally, not 3 years later, it wouldn't have flopped. You got to remember, 4 or 5 of the big names did not want to go. They didn't want anything to do with the WWE, so they did not sign their contracts. So that hurt the WWE with the whole Invasion, because originally was going to be the NWO, Goldberg and Sting and Ric Flair, and they decided not to go to WWE after they got bought out. So that hurt the whole original plan. So that's why they brought ECW in, and it wasn't the big effect. It didn't have the big names come in other than like Booker T and a couple people. Now, it didn't do what they wanted to do, and that was a big mistake. Shane does nothing to do with the WWE anymore. He sold all his stock, so it would not be like that. It wouldn't be, oh, they're sending him over. He would be doing it for himself, and he wouldn't be owning the company, Tony Khan. He'd be working for Tony Khan. And Shane has already said he's not too happy of what happened with his dad. So this would be kind of the Shane against Triple H, because Shane was supposed to get the company, and he kind of went to Stephanie and didn't trust Shane, and kind of went, a lot of people don't realize, kind of screwed Shane out of. That's why Shane kind of got away from the WWE for a while. They had issues, bro. And kind of like, it would kind of be weird seeing Shane McMahon go to AEW working for another man against Triple H, because they're not really cool right now because of a lot of stuff that's happened. So it would kind of be weird, but it wouldn't be surprising seeing a McMahon get some way into another to go back against the company that they made. It would be kind of weird, but it was just something to throw out there. I know, never do the Invasion. That was such a joke. It just didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. It just was a big flop. And then when they brought the the NWO back, it flopped. It was cool at first, and they fucked it up because Scott Hall ended up leaving, and they tried to bring X-Pac, and they brought Shawn Michaels in the Big Show, and it was just stupid. It made no sense. And that's kind of what I'm worried about the Wyatt family is, yeah, all these people are in it, but are they going to do the same shit in 6 months? Is this going to be a flop? And it's going to be very hard to emulate his brother. And I know he's doing a different character, but if they do it right, they can make it great. If they do it stupid, like you were saying, if they don't bring Alexa Bliss in, where I think if they do it, she could be Sister Abigail. And if they do bring her in, then that would probably save. I think it would be really make the gimmick even better. Braun Strowman, the problem is I don't think he wanted to do anything with the Bray Wyatt family right now, because he kind of wants to be his own person. I get it. I think he comes in later on, but Alexa, I think, is going to end up, that's the storyline. I think she's going to come in trying to be something else, and they're going to bring her towards it like they did. They were starting to bring her back, and then she got hurt and got pregnant. I think that's where they're going to go. And if they do bring Alexa, that actually changes things. That makes it where that character was actually, like he said, it was an icon. If they bring that character back, I think it would work. But the problem is, this isn't Bray Wyatt. This is going to be a different group of people with Uncle Howdy. How's that going to work with Alexa Bliss? Because they had Bray Wyatt and Alexa wasn't supposed to work, and it fucking did. It worked perfect because you had two opposites that worked. Just like me and James are two opposites, and it fucking worked. Just like Bryan Daniels and Kane. No one thought that was going to work, and people loved that gimmick, because you had somebody you didn't think would ever be together, and it worked. And that's what happens sometimes. You have these groups of people like Mankind and Stone Cold, or Mankind and The Rock. People didn't think it worked. People loved it. The Undertaker and Stone Cold. Two different people, but it worked. You have to look at it that way. Just like the Judgment Day. I thought that was going to be a flop. They got rid of Edge. and they did it too fast because Edge said it wasn't going to be for a year, and they changed their mind because Edge didn't want to keep being a gatekeeper, and then he left the AEW. And I think, and people got to realize, oh, Edge changed his character. He's not going to be fucking Edge in AEW. He's a different name. And I get it. He changed his character. He broke his fucking leg at 51 almost, jumping off a fucking cage. I got to give that man credit because he broke his fucking leg. And the coolest thing about he brought Gangrel back in the Brood back in the last pay-per-view. I thought that was, and he came out to raining blood from Slayer, and that was great, dude, and that was cool. And then they brought the old Brood music back, and he fucking jumped off the cage and he hit the table, and he goes, you forget I'm 51 years old, and he snapped his leg. But but you know what, he's trying to do a different character, that he's doing the rated R superstar, but it's something different, and it's starting to work. Because you say, oh, he's 50, yeah. But this 51-year-old was going out wrestling these top wrestlers that are 20 and 30, and he's fucking going every night, and that's why they made him the TNT champion, and now his leg's broke. It sucks, but what I'm saying is that character worked for him. It didn't look like it was going to, and it did, and he worked with the House of Black, and that was working, and and just like I said, they got that Jayla Hart. I don't know, like you said, if you don't watch AEW, she was the cheerleader for Brian Pillman, who is now in NXT. They had this weird group. They had him in, like, they were like a football thing in AEW. It was really stupid. And she was the cheerleader, but they brought her in the House of Black, and she totally became a big name, and she's all comes out with a whole different gimmick. But you wouldn't think it would work, but it did. And it seems like people who are normal, then they go to this different character, it works. And they change, and they go to this, just like Seth Rollins. He was boring until he went to Seth freaking Rollins, and he was this crazy ass, weird, like a cult guy, and then he went to this the new character he has now, and people love him. He's like the Mad Hatter meets the Joker, and it works for him. CM Punk, the problem with CM Punk is I think he was a fad, and he was away from wrestling too long. And every time he's been wrestling, he gets hurt, just like he did in AEW, and he got hurt now. And he'll go out and run his mouth, and yeah, he can talk, but then he gets hurt, or his dumbass mouth gets him in trouble, or his attitude. And I used to love CM Punk, but the problem with CM Punk is he didn't wrestle for 9 years, and he's doing the same gimmick, and it's the same shit over and over. And it's something you have to do. You have to adapt. You can't be the same person. The Undertaker has proven this. He changed his character numerous times. Yes, it was the same character, but like he said, I can never be the Undertaker again like that, where he came from the graveyard, because it wouldn't work. The American Badass would work because it's a whole different kind of gimmick. He really is a badass in real life. The Undertaker used to collect money for the mafia. He was no dude you wanted to fuck with, dude. Like, he was a monster, just like Brock Lesnar. He ain't no dude you want to fuck with. These guys are, Brock Lesnar, if he didn't get whatever that was, variolitis or whatever were in his stomach, he probably would have been better than what he was, and he would never went back to WWE. But when he got tuberculitis, I think that's what it is, he never was the same. In wrestling, you could go back and wrestle, but in UFC was just never the same. And the guy, after 4 fights, was the champion in the UFC. He beat Randy Couture, he had 30-something fights, and Randy Couture was a badass. He beat his ass, bro. And then he got sick after beating Frank Mir in his rematch, and never was really the same again. And then he got caught doing steroids, but I mean, after that, you're in your 40s, you're going to start doing stuff like that. And, and the UFC at the time, they had sketchy things. Now they're, the FCC watches them all the time. But even then, people still do it. But that was a different time. But these guys are people you don't want to piss off. Like, they know what they're doing. But I just don't like how, like you were saying, the WWE's been, they take characters from NXT and they destroy them. Karrion Kross is one of the biggest proven. Look how good he was in NXT. And they brought him, and then they changed his gimmick and got rid of Scarlett, made him have like a shaved head with a stupid fucking mask on, and then they fired him 6 months later, and then they brought him back, and then they didn't do shit with him, and now he's got a new group with him, with his group he has now, and they're still not doing anything with him. And just like Nakamura, they're not doing anything with him. Dragunov, they're doing something, and then they won't do nothing, and then they will. It just, he's going to be a mid-carder, just like they did with Ricochet. And this stuff, it irritates me. The WWE has gold mines, and they fuck it up. And then they bring somebody in like John Cena, who I think is the ultimate good guy. He's never gone heel, and it worked for him. He's one of the rarities. But now he's playing the Peacemaker. He's a totally different character. You'd never think he'd play. I don't know if you guys seen it. The fucking show's great. But it's just that they do things that make no sense. You think they're going to do something. Chad Gable looks like he's going to win the title. Fuck, nope. Have him lose again to Sammy. Yeah, we're going to make him win the title eventually. We know it's coming. But they should have done this already. After losing it 3 or 4 times, people are like, I don't give a fuck anymore. And that's what it kind of looks. And then you get him his ass kicked by the Wyatt family, made him look stupid, and now people are making signs. You don't realize when that happens, they bury you. And that's what it kind of looked like. They're burying Chad Gable. Oh, they're not. They're doing another gimmick. But how many times do you have him lose? I mean, Sami Zayn's having the title now, I think it's done. I think somebody else needs to have it. Maybe go do something else. Maybe have the world championship. That's what he needs to win. He can't keep being a mid-carder. And Sammy needs to win that title. I would like to see Jay win it, and then he beats Jey Uso. That would be kind of cool. I don't see that happening because, Drew McIntyre and fucking Punk's going to, the problem I have with, I see Sammy winning it and then giving it to Punk again, and then Punk having a title for 7 months. No one wants to see that. I don't really care if CM Punk ever came back. I really don't care. And is that sad? Because I really liked him, and so did my wife. And I don't hate the guy. I mean, he has to make money. I get it. But it's just such a disappointing because I think he should have stayed in AEW, but he was such a pain in the ass, bitch about everything. And he does the same thing. And you watch, give it a year or two, he'll be gone. I mean, he'll be doing the same shit. And then somebody like Drew will get tired of it and they'll leave and go to AEW or somewhere, New Japan or one of these other groups. And people got to realize, if you want to make money, AEW is worth giving it. They just gave Sasha Banks the most money in any wrestler. Becky Lynch is right now, and they're making rumors of her being in WWE. I heard that's a lie. And I heard right now, Tony Khan has offered her $10 million a year. I'm going to tell you right now, the WWE ain't offering that. I don't give a fuck what you are. If you're Becky Lynch, you're sitting there, am I going to keep losing matches? Because when Rhea comes back, she's getting the title back. So Becky's going to be back and forth like she was. AEW, they're going to give her the title. We already know that. And she can wrestle with Sasha Banks because that's what everybody wants to see anyway. I think that right now, the women's division's so stacked in the WWE that they're having issues. That's what's going on with Jade. You have Bianca. You're going to have Alexa Bliss come back, who's another big name. And you're going to have all these. And you got Asuka fucked up her knee, but she's going to be back in 4 months. You're going to have all these people come back. And Charlotte, what people keep forgetting, is coming back in a couple months. What are we going to do with all these women in this division? And I know there's 2 Raw and SmackDown, but you got to see now. You're going to have like 20 big names now. Becky's got to realize these people are coming back. Rhea is coming back. Charlotte's coming back. Asuka's coming back. You re-sign with the WWE, these people are coming back, and Bianca's going to get pushed. Jade's going to get pushed. Tiffany Stratton is going to get pushed. I already could tell you right now they're really big on her, except she's got to watch what she says on TikTok, because I don't know if you saw, she made a comment about Jade on Twitter, and she and people got pissed off about it because she called her used a racist slur. And
Oh boy.
Tiffany, well,
she didn't. What she did was she shared a video that somebody had made that had a voiceover. She didn't actually call her anything. And once she realized what it actually said, she deleted it almost immediately. But somebody saw that she had posted it, and that's what started all the controversy. Just to clear that up, so everybody doesn't think that she's some racist piece of shit. She's just an airhead, probably. You know what I mean? He probably shared a video that she saw that she didn't listen to, because she might have had her volume. I do that all the time. I have my volume off and I'm scrolling because my wife's watching TV or something, and I'll see something like, oh, that's awesome. You know what I mean? but I have no idea what's actually being said on the video because I don't watch it. Now, I'm smart enough not to share it without actually watching it and listening to it, but maybe she's not. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, I just want to clear that up. And I'll tell you one thing really quickly about Becky Lynch. That is one person that would make me watch AEW. If Becky Lynch went to AEW, I would not miss a week because I am the biggest Becky Lynch fan. I loved her back when she was doing the steampunk thing with the goggles on her head. You know, I loved her when she was dancing around like a damn leprechaun. You know, I am a big time Bex fan. And I would definitely watch AEW. That would make me watch AEW if she went there. I hope she doesn't. I hope she stays. And I hope they treat her right. You know what I mean? Because she's amazing. But then again, like you said, dude, I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan. I can't wait for her to come back. I love me some Liv Morgan. You know, that whole angle she's doing now with Dom to get back at Rhea, that's cool, man. It's kind of filthy, but it's good. It's a good story. You know what I mean? And I'm buying into it for now because I'm waiting. Because I can't wait to see Rhea when she comes back and the rage that she's going to show towards Liv for that, everything that Liv's doing now, is going to make them, if the payoff's going to be worth it, it's going to be awesome, you know, because I'm a huge Rhea Ripley fan too. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's stacked. You know, that's awesome. But yeah, if Becky goes to AEW, I'd have to start watching that. So I hope that she doesn't, because I already watch way too many hours of wrestling a week, and I just don't have time.
Well, again, Charlotte's coming back too, so that's what another thing that you got to remember. Becky's kind of getting phased out. You know, Bianca's and Jade are going to have some kind of problem soon, and you got Bailey, Io Sky. I think's great. I just they're too stacked, and I see Becky really getting stuck in the shuffle again. And I think if, you know, Ronda's talking about going to AEW, Ronda Rousey, and then you have Sasha Banks and you have Becky going over to AEW, it would make their division, because Britt Baker's coming back. She was been out for almost a year. That was their big name in AEW. And then you have Thunder Rosa, you have Willow, you have Statlander. Those are the big names over there in AEW. If you get some, and you got of course Sasha Banks, Mercedes. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know what her name is now, but it's Mercedes something. But she's the best wrestler right now they have. She's the big name, the biggest name in the women's division. Paige was a drop. They have Paige, but she's been doing nothing. She's just not the same person after her injury. And you could really do something there. Ricochet's going to AEW. I hear that the Hardy Boys are going to end up in NXT next week, but they're not under contract with anybody. Who else is going over? I think they're Ethan Page who's in NXT now, was in AEW like 2 weeks ago. There's a new thing, the new law changed there. You don't have to wait anymore 90 days anymore. That changed too. So that got changed for right now. So now you don't have to wait. Ricochet's contract's up in like a week or two, and he'll be in AEW. You're going to have a lot of people flip-flopping. AJ's another one that hasn't signed his contract in July. He has made comments he wants to wrestle in Japan. I don't be surprised he goes back to New Japan. Or maybe AEW to wrestle Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Those are two guys, and Daniel Bryanson. And I would love that, because AJ right now, I mean, after he lost, they made him look. I don't like how the ending happened, the I Quit thing, where he picked up the thing and he got hit with a chair 17 times, but he picked up the ladder and he got scared and he says, no, I think they should have just had him beat him till he fucking gave up, and that was just a bad ending to that match. It was a great match. They ruined it though with the ending. And then all of a sudden
they missed a golden opportunity in that match, bro. Because Cody's mom was there. And she was running her mouth and she slapped AJ.
Yeah.
AJ had Cody handcuffed.
Yeah.
Now, what he should have done, instead of handcuffing him behind his back, he should have handcuffed him to the ropes. He should have walked down to his mother, told the referee to come over with a mic, taken the mic, and told him, Cody, I'm going to bash your mom up if you don't say I quit. I'm going to do this, and grab his mom like by the throat or something, right? Really play it up like he's going to jack his mom up. Start choking her, throw his fist back like he's going to punch her. Have Cody, I quit, to save his mom. Nobody would have held that against Cody. It would have made him look like even more of a baby face because he's doing it for his mom, because they built up how much he loves his mom for like a week or two, right? Perfect opportunity. Then you can get the belt off of Cody, because the Cody is good in the chase, but once he has it, he's lame. So you got to get Cody back to the chase, because that's where he's good. Perfect opportunity. You can give AJ another belt, right? Because AJ is an amazing wrestler, and then you can have the chase going on with Cody again, because now Cody's pissed at AJ because AJ did that to his mother. So he's got to get back at him. You see what I'm saying? Perfect opportunity, and they missed it, man. It was a gimme. And that's what I thought was going to happen. I even told my wife when I was watching, I was like, look, this is what's going to happen. AJ is going to grab Cody's mom, and Cody's going to quit because he's going to threaten Cody's mom. That's what's going to happen. And that's exactly what they should have done. That would have been amazing. And even if they would have gave Cody the belt back the next week, you know, even if he would have come out the very next show and had a rematch and beat AJ, that would have been an amazing end to that pay-per-view. Even though they started the pay-per-view, so it wouldn't have been an end to it in the beginning, but that would have been an amazing end to that match. Another thing I really can't stand is how they use Shayna Baszler. I mean, to me, that really, really sucks, because we were talking about her earlier about how much of a badass she actually is. And I think it's sad that they job her out the way they do and they make her look like shit. I mean, because she is a legitimate badass. She could actually fight and beat up most of the people in the division. And so making her lose the way she loses all the time kind of sucks. And I didn't like that match that they had with her and what's her face. I don't even remember what the hell her name is. The one that twerks all the damn time. They had that MMA style match where they went at it. And I know that chick is also an MMA fighter, but I just can't stand her character. You know, I mean, her whole gimmick is that she has a big butt and that she comes out and shakes her ass. And that's her whole deal. You know, and it's sad, man. I don't even remember what her name is. That tells you how memorable she actually is to me. But I think it sucks what they're doing to Shayna as well. I think that's just ridiculous. But I think that's the way the Cody match should have ended, is with AJ threatening his mom and Cody quitting. What do you think about that, old boy?
It's too early for the Cody to lose the title. That's why they didn't do it. That's why I think they should have done this a different way. They shouldn't have done the I Quit match till next month. And I think now with the Money in the Bank, I'm not going to be surprised Cody loses the title. I don't think it's going to be Damian Priest. I think it's going to be somebody else, and they're going to cash in Money in the Bank. A lot of people are saying Jey Uso is going to win. I don't think he's going to. I think it's going to be Gunther. I think Gunther's going to win the Money in the Bank, and he's going to cash it, because I think a lot of people are high on that guy. He won King of the Ring. He was the 666 days, the longest intercontinental champion of all time. They already made. I think that right now, again, I think that the WWE blew it with the whole AJ Cody thing. I think that shouldn't have been the match. I think it should have been another rematch. But like you said, it would have been a better idea of Cody losing, just like they did with Edge with Judgment Day, that he only gave up because they were going to hit his wife in the head with the chairs, and still did. And then he came back and kicked Finn Balor's ass at WrestleMania. That would have made sense, and then just have Cody win the rematch like a couple weeks later, like the next pay-per-view, and then AJ would have got the title again, and then Cody would have, I think Cody right now, like they're saying it, the ratings are not doing good. Yeah, the ratings did good this week. The NBA, yeah, 1.5 million. One is everybody knew Uncle Howdy was coming back. It wasn't because Cody was there. It was because Uncle Howdy was going to be on TV and people saw that, so everybody wanted to see that. If that wasn't going on, the ratings would have been a lot different. Um, and the WWE, in my opinion, is they missed another opportunity. Now, what are you going to do with AJ? You made him quit in a horrible ending. It was dumb. And now what are you going to do? You know the guy's under contract coming up. So what that told me that he's probably not going to re-sign with the WWE. He's probably going to leave. So what do you do now? You got the Good Brothers. You go back to AEW. You go to AEW. What they could do there is, like I said, if AJ says it's a WWE, right, AEW, he's going to go right off probably to the title. There's no other. I mean, the only thing I could see him is going after MJF. That's the biggest name in AEW right now, and that's what the WWE was trying to get him, and he didn't go. His mouth, but the problem with AJ is he's never been a good talker. He just did recently when he brought up some of the stuff about AJ being a quitter. And that's why I knew Cody was going to win, because he kept saying he quit everything. And I was kind of surprised AJ did that, because I like the whole bad guy thing with AJ. I think he's a great wrestler either way. And like, I do agree with him. He's the Shawn Michaels of our generation. And he pretty much is. And he just can't talk like Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was different because he could talk and wrestle. And he was a guy, and he was a smart ass and a dick in real life. He's different now than he was because he changed, but he was a real asshole in real life, to the point where the Undertaker wanted to kick his ass. So did Bret Hart. A lot of people didn't like Shawn Michaels because he was a real prick when he was younger. He changed because he almost died because people wanted to kick the shit out of him. And the funny thing is, James kind of sounds like Shawn Michaels sometimes, but Sean was an arrogant asshole, but hey, it worked for him. AJ was kind of, the sad thing about AJ is he didn't get into WD fast enough. He stayed in New Japan, and he got a big name, and he got in TNA at the time when they blew up. He was there, and he was supposed to get a WWE, and he didn't. I think that kind of hurt him. If he would have won a couple years later, he would have been a lot bigger name than he is now. It's just sad. He's just not going to be that guy. He doesn't have the talking. He's a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. And he comes off the way he does. And he's not one of those talkers. Talkers like Roman. He's not the best wrestler, but he can talk. And he has Paul with him. And his family too so he's always going to be a big name. The Rock's family is going to be generation after generation. You're going to be seeing these guys. They run the WWE now. All of them are there, like The Rock, the Usos. They're all related. Nia Jax is related, but one thing I'll give Nia, she doesn't use that name. She changed her name to Nia Jax because she doesn't want to be. She doesn't want to be known as that, and I get it. It's kind of, Nia's a different kind of person. She's related to that family. The new bloodline. There's like 20 people in that. What's the one with that comes out with the green lights on her clothes and stuff like that? Naomi.
Naomi, yeah.
She's married to Jey Uso. And the Rock's niece is coming to the WWE from NXT. She or his daughter. The Rock's coming back. Their family is very highly into this.
She's married to Jimmy, isn't she?
I don't know. I thought it was Jay. One of them. It's one of the two. I think Jimmy. Maybe she is married to Jimmy. But she's married to him. The family's huge, man. They got a big family, dude. So the Rock's coming back. I don't know. I really want the Rock main eventing WrestleMania 2 years in a row, and I just think they blew it on that. And if it's going to probably be 3 years because he's going to wrestle as Roman. So it's the next 3 years, the Rock doesn't get hurt. It's going to see him. And I think it takes away from your other talent. You're taking, and that's the one thing I don't like about the WWE is they're taking away from their talent, and they're relying on old part-timers to come and save them. Like they want to do Lesnar and Gunther, and that would be the end of Lesnar. And I don't see that happening. I think Lesnar's the kind of guy is if he doesn't stay at the WWE, he's probably going to go jump ship over to AEW. Not going to really make any difference because Lesnar's kind of run his course. There's nothing really more he can do. Or getting him more popular than he already is. So it'd just be another name to give people money. Um, that's kind of what I see with AEW. AEW, the problem with AEW and I see with them is they have to start making a better storyline. And they've been doing it because they're hiring better people. But the problem with AEW is a lot of people don't want to just see a bunch of guys wrestling all the time. And it's good that's who they are. But and they're getting better guys talking. But they need to have more to the point where people want to watch it. And I think being on TNT and TBS is kind of a crutch. A lot of people don't watch that show other than TV, and sports is always on TNT. That's why I think it's better they're going to HBO Max. I think that's where they need to go, and I think they're going to go that route. And I think they're going to be I think AEW and WWE is going to be around for a long time. It'll never be the WCW thing, but this is as close as we're ever going to get to it. And I think everybody should just enjoy the wrestling for the next 5 years because you have to have competition. AEW is not there. The WWE is going to get stale like it did for the last 10 years. That's what people don't realize. AEW and TNA, all these other companies, yeah, they're not as big, but they're competition. You don't have competition, you don't care anymore. You could see last 8 years, WWE was pretty bad. No one cared. Now people care again. You have to have a competition. Having AEW is their biggest competition. They're to the point where now they call them out by name. They're not playing with them anymore. They've taken them serious. When you have a billionaire and has money, he can keep doing what he wants. He's never going to lose that money because he has a football team that's going to keep making money. So, like I said, you have to have competition, and it makes TV better for all of us. So, especially when they get on HBO and Netflix, where it's going to go rated R, and we're going to see a lot of shit that we didn't think we're going to see. And it could go different. It could be a whole different new era for us to see all this crazy shit happening. And I can't wait, man. I'm really excited. This show was all about wrestling, guys. I'm glad you guys got to hear it because I really enjoyed the show. I know that you guys are used to us talking shit about politics, and we'll get back to that next week and the paranormal world because Andy wasn't able to join us because he had an emergency. Just so everybody knows, so you don't think he's going to get off the show. He had an emergency, and that's understandable. And we could still do the show because we do it with staring, and we've been doing staring for a long time, and we're screwed in Revolution Radio. This is a different kind of show, guys. I understand that some of you guys, and I'm going to say this, and then we'll get to let James say what he's got to say. We're very controversial. I get it. Some people think that James is this and I'm that, and we believe this way. Just so you know, me and James have a whole different opinion on politics, on belief, and we're totally fine with it. I understand some people might get offended by me because you see what's in the back of my fucking house. I don't give a fuck. James doesn't give a fuck. You think he's a Christian right wing? He's not a Republican. He votes more right than he does left. I'm more in the middle. We're going to talk about shit that's going to make people uncomfortable, but just so people know, we're not Alex Jones. Alex Jones is an asshole. I don't like that guy. I know people have tried to say that about James. Alex Jones is to the point of extreme is ridiculous. Some of the shit he was doing, I get it. He has his opinion, but having people call the people from Sandy Hook, they call them lying and going and fighting with his people who had their kids killed. I'm not a fan of that dude. I never have been. When he went on Paris and started yelling he's going to fight the government, I knew what he was about. We're not like that. I'm not going to ever bring somebody on our show. If we ever do bring anybody who on the left wing, yeah, we'll have a conversation, but we're not going to attack them and try to make them look stupid so we can look good. I would never have a trans person or a gay person on here and then just attack them. I'm not like that, and neither is James. He might ask him questions, but he's not going to sit there and attack them because that's just not what we're about. We're not going to, it may not, I don't have a problem with what people do. I do have a problem with some things. Don't get me wrong. I've said it, but just because James feels a certain way, if somebody comes on, he's not going to sit here and start attacking him like CNN and Fox. It's just that's not how we are. Like, he has his opinions, and if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch something that you're going to be all right and be comfortable with a blanket. I mean, I'm not doing a show to be, for people to, those guys they talk about nice things, and we're not going to do that. We never did. Staring, I love doing staring, but after a couple years of not being able to say what I want to fucking say about the paranormal community, I got tired of it. And we asked, can we cuss? And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't be. We're not those people. And this is what we really are. And I know people are going to think this. They'll hear one or two things and take it out of line. Look, we do shows that are going to be interesting. We're talking about wrestling. It has nothing to do with anything that's going on in the world. I'm just explaining this show because I've seen a couple people say things, and then somebody told me, you guys are, some of the stuff that you guys say. Hey, you know what? You believe whatever. Go make your own show. Go over there and talk about you. It's all right for. And this is me. I'm not a Republican, but I don't. I think both sides. It's all right for one side to do one thing and the other side not, or the other side to do something and not. No, you know what? We all have differences of opinion. This is why this country's fucked, and this world is because you can't say anything anymore without somebody getting mad. Look, you have people who threaten to kill me. You have people who say, "Oh, you're a fucking Satanist. You go and kill kids." You know how I hate child molesters. I hate child killers. You can think whatever you want. I absolutely cannot stand them. If they represent what I believe, then they're not what I believe in. Sorry, I don't represent them. Not everybody who believes the same shit. Remember that, guys. And with religion, there's not everybody's in all religions. Come on, guys. Not everybody's a Christian because they said they are. Or a Catholic or a Muslim. It's not a shot against anybody's belief, but we all have people who are assholes in our religions, and we know that. There's, David Koresh said he was a Christian and he was Jesus Christ, and they ended up killing him. Well, he killed all his people, but he was supposed to be a Christian. Charles Manson was supposed to be a Christian. Don't believe that shit that Zach Baggins says. Oh, he was never a Satanist. That was a lie, dude. He believed he was Jesus. He would never believed he was the devil. He put the Nazi sign on his head because he was racist. That's a whole different thing, because he thought the whites were superior, and he thought that. But he said that we were going to lose the race war, but then the blacks weren't. Were going to come and ask him for help after it was over. He did leave a lot of crazy shit. Charles Manson was a whack job. But I wanted to get people, because I seen a couple persons came to me personally. Look, we're screwed is what it's about. We're screwed. If you don't see what's going on in this world, and it's not just about what's going on in politics, it's just all together. The world has changed in 20 years. It's not what it used to be. It was starting, and it's just everybody hates each other. Everybody's at war. Everybody can't say nothing without anybody getting mad or getting canceled. You know what? If we don't have stuff like this, then we might as well just shut up and shut the shop down, because I don't care what happens. I'm never going to stop saying what I want to say. You don't like it? Fucking too bad, man. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings and offend you, but if you take it that way, too bad. You know what? That's the way you feel. Then don't listen to my show. Like I tell people, if you're offended by something, instead of going out all crying about it, just don't watch it. Delete it. I'm talking about altogether. Anybody. Delete it. If somebody starts talking about their political views and you don't like it, don't follow them. Don't go there and say, oh, that isn't that. Just like on Facebook, if you don't like something that somebody says, delete them. Block them. Don't sit there and argue with them and come out of nowhere and say, well, this and this and that and this. Whatever you guys, it's not worth the arguments. And that's what I try to tell people. Like, I listen to both sides, all sides actually. And look, I have trans friends, I have gay friends, I have all races of friends, all religions, and I have no issues with them. The problem is both sides, they ain't getting anywhere because they keep fighting over something that's never going to end, because they just don't see eye to eye. But instead of just letting it go at opinions, people want to attack each other and fucking try to kill each other, beat each other up. That shit used to not be like that. And that's crazy now, that if you don't vote one way, you're a racist. You vote another way, you're a traitor, you're a country. That shit's that's not how our democracy works. It doesn't matter if John J. F. Kennedy, whatever, his Robert Kennedy's son, nephew, wants to do a debate. That's in the Constitution. He may not win, but you can vote any way you want. You can vote for Mickey Mouse if you want. You can write it in the ballot and say, Mickey Mouse to be president, and people have. As crazy as it sounds, people have done that. People said Ross Perot, and Ross Perot hasn't run in 25, 30 years. But who could vote for whoever you want? Because once we take away people's votes of who they want to vote instead of telling them who they vote for, then that's not freedom. And that's all I'm going to say. I see people, because a couple people said something about the show. Oh, you guys, I see the politics stuff and, the right wing. I'm not a right wing. I've not said one thing of right wing. Like I said, I've actually gone and said some things back with James I don't agree with. But it doesn't mean I hate him. That's his business. And Andy, the same way. He's got a little bit different opinion. He's kind of like on the fence too. And I get it. But he has a child he raises, and I see where mine are all grown up, dude. But my daughter is gay. I have my daughter is gay and probably with a woman. My other daughter is I don't know what she is. I see she supports it. I don't know, but I see she's with a guy. So I haven't talked to my daughter in a year. There's stuff that's a personal thing, and I don't care what she is anyway. Isn't my business. I don't care. As long as she's healthy, she's doing what she's supposed to do in life and being a good citizen, that's all that matters to me. And who she jumps in bed with or what they do in their own time isn't my problem. That's as long as they're not killing people and destroying people's lives and they're doing good in life, that's all that matters to me. And I just want people to know that, because I know it's going off what happened with the show, but I seen a couple comments and somebody wrote me something. I didn't want to say nothing, but I kind of had to bring it up. And you got to realize We're Screwed was always controversial. Even then, we talked about stuff. The reason we shut it off is it was going around when Trump was getting elected, and people were flipping out because James is going to vote for Trump, and back then people were insane, threatening us, and the crazy thing is Ant-Man was he's a Democrat and he was voting against Trump, and people were yelling at him, calling him Uncle Tom. It's crazy. It just shows you how people are, and we don't care. I mean, how many people threaten to kill me? I've been threatened to be raped. I've been threatened. I've been called an alien. It doesn't scare me. Like whatever you're gonna come after me, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do. I trust me. I'm not worried about it. Neither is James. He's not gonna lose sleep. Am I gonna go to sleep tonight? Yes, I am. So just want people to know that. Just so I didn't want to say nothing. I didn't say nothing to James because somebody did say something, and I don't care if you don't like the show. Most people I've talked to love the show. They like it. It's something different. One person made a comment about the trans thing, and I told him, look, that's his opinion. He doesn't hate transgender now. That's something that people got to understand. Hating and disagreeing is a whole different word. Hating is saying you hate somebody and you don't give a fuck what they say. Fuck you and your opinion, or die. And I'm showing you an example. Disagreeing is that you don't agree with their lifestyle. And that's a whole different story. If you don't agree with somebody's lifestyle, you don't agree with their lifestyle. It doesn't matter you change or not. I'm not saying that, I'm not going to say some of the stuff that his opinions are, but he's not going to go after somebody and beat the shit out of them and try to kill them or anything. That's not what he's saying. That's a whole different story. That's ignorance. That's somebody who anybody who's going around beating up trans and gays, that's not what he's about at all. He's not. That's a whole different thing, and I want people to understand that he's not for that. And anybody who's doing that kind of shit, he probably could go beat the shit out of him. He saw him doing it, because that's a whole different story. Attacking somebody because they're the way they are is a whole different, and not agreeing with what they do. But killing him and trying to kill him, that's a whole different. That's different. That's bullshit. That I'm talking about with anything, any side. If you're attacking somebody and trying to physically hurt somebody because you don't agree with them, then you're a fucking idiot. And that's just my opinion. But that being said, I just want people to know that. There you go, brother.
We can clear this up real quick. I'll say it right now. for that person and for anybody listening who may feel the same way. It has absolutely nothing, zero, not even a tiny bit to do with being gay. I don't give a shit. You want to be gay, be gay. I don't care. It's not my business. Don't give a fuck. Nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. I don't even give a shit if you want to be trans. If you want to be trans in your own life and do your own weird things, man, do whatever the fuck you want. Don't care. I have absolutely no problem with it. Don't care. What I have a problem with is when you're pushing that shit on little kids. When you're going to schools and going in front of little children in libraries dressed as women when you're men, and you're shaking your hairy ass in their face, when you're putting books in their library, teaching them about anal and oral sex in elementary school, because that's what's happening. That's what I have a problem with. If you want to be trans, you're an adult, you want to be trans in your own life, I don't give a fuck. Be trans. I don't care. I wish you happiness and health and love. I don't give a shit. If you want to be gay, be gay. I don't give a shit. I got a lot of really, really good friends of mine that are gay. I don't have a problem with it at all. Whatever, dude, be gay. That's on you. You know what I mean? I don't care. Nothing to do with it. What it does have to do with is what I just said. And what it also has to do with is when these guys pretend to be women so that they can play sports against women. And here's why that's a problem. Because your little girl, who's worked her entire life to try to earn a scholarship with her athletics so that she can make something out of her life, gets robbed of that opportunity because some cheating ass man who ain't good enough to compete and get a scholarship with the men, so he pretends to be a woman so that he can get a scholarship, takes that opportunity away from your little girl. That's what I have a problem with. And that is happening. It's not fair. If you want to be trans in your life, be trans. But don't pretend you're a girl and try to play sports against the girls and rob some actual girl of her chance to go to college because you're a damn cheater who can't compete with other men. That's what I'm saying. That is my position. I don't see what's wrong with that. It has nothing to do with hating gay people. It has nothing to do with even hating trans people. I hate cheaters. I hate people that cheat to take opportunities away from people who actually deserve them. Period. And there's nothing wrong with that. I hate people who sexually assault, sexually abuse, and groom children. And that's what's happening. That's not cool. I don't like people who mutilate the genitals of children. Okay? That's what's happening. That's what I have an issue with. Once again, don't give a shit about being gay. Be gay. I don't care. Do I think it's a sin? Absolutely it's a sin. 100% it's a sin. But you know what else is a sin? Lying. You know what else is a sin? Getting mad at somebody. There's a ton of sin. Being gay is no worse than telling a lie. Being gay is no worse than my wife asking me if when she puts on that dress if it makes her ass look fat. We all know it makes her ass looks fat. I can't say it makes her ass looks fat. I'm supposed to tell the truth all the time, but can I actually say that? No. Why? Because then she'll be pissed off at me. And women, when they get pissed off at you, it's a lot worse than when men get pissed off at you. If old boy gets really, really pissed off at me, maybe we scream back and forth at each other a little bit. If we're in the same room, maybe he punches me in my fucking face. And then we go have a beer. That's how men handle things. That don't happen with my wife. When my wife gets mad at me, she's mad at me for a long time. And I got to hear her yell at me for a long time, and I don't want to hear that shit. So if she asks me a question like that, I'm going to tell her, you look beautiful. I don't give a fuck. Your ass could be dragging behind you in the sand when you go to the beach, and I'm going to tell you you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Why? 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to fight. I don't want to hurt her feelings. I love that woman. 2, to me, she is the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't give a damn. Every time I look at her, my heart smiles. I thank God that I was blessed enough to have her as my wife. You know what I mean? I don't care. Is it a sin? Yes. And I don't care if that pisses you off because that's what the Bible says. Okay? Does that mean that if you're gay, you can't go to heaven? No, that's not what that means. It's no different than telling a lie and still going to heaven because you can ask for forgiveness and you can accept Jesus Christ as your Savior. It covers that sin. See, a lot of Christians act like being gay is some sin that's way worse than anything else. It's not. It's not dooming you to hell. We all sin, every single one of us, me included. That's why Jesus died for us, guys. If you're gay, please don't feel like you can't go to heaven. Please don't feel like God doesn't love you, because God loves you more than you'll ever know. God loves you if you're trans. God loves you no matter what the hell you are. Why? Because we're all screwed up. Every single damn one of us. My only point is, leave the damn kids alone. Stop going after our children, because that's where we're going to have a problem with you. You want to have your little gay pride parade? Have it. I don't give a shit. You want to put assless chaps on and spank each other? Do it. I don't care. It does not affect me at all. But when you come to the school and you try to go after my children, that's when I got a problem with you. And you're damn right I'm going to say something about it. And I don't give a shit who gets offended by it. Fuck you. If you support somebody coming to the school and teaching elementary school kids how to suck dick, then fuck you. How about that? That's the way I feel. And I don't even know you. And I'm not saying whoever complained to old boy feels that way. That's not what I'm saying at all. So don't get that shit twisted either. I hope you have a wonderful life. You're allowed to disagree with me. That's 100% fine. But I'm allowed to disagree with you too. But I want to clarify my position 100%, because I've heard this bullshit too. And I want to clarify. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me. I still love you anyway. What I do care about is when you're attacking our children. What I do care about is when you're screwing little girls and teenage girls out of opportunities to go to college and have a better life because you can't compete with men. So you decide you're going to put on a dress and pretend to be a damn woman so that you can be the number one in the world. I'm speaking about, of course, Leah Thomas, that cheating piece of trash that was like ranked 400 and something in the world as a man, and all of a sudden she's beating women by crazy amounts of time, several seconds. You know what I mean? That's a cheating ass person, man. Everybody knows it. I don't understand why everybody gets so mad at me for saying it. Everybody knows it's true. This dude was pretending to be a girl and had a girlfriend. Dude, when he was in the pool screwing these girls out of their opportunities, he would walk around the locker room, dick just a swinging, talking on the phone with his girlfriend about how he's going to go home and fuck her that night. That came straight from Riley Gaines' mouth. She witnessed it. So you're going to tell me this dude is gay? How does me having a problem with that mean that I don't like gay people? He's not even gay. He has a girlfriend. He loves chicks. You know what I mean? It's all bullshit, man. It's bullshit, and either the people don't pay attention, so they don't know what the hell I'm actually saying, or they're willfully ignorant. They just want to believe that I hate gay people because that makes a better talking point. But once again, I don't hate gay people. I don't give a shit. Be gay. I don't care. I don't hate trans people. Be trans. I don't care. But leave our kids alone and stop pretending to be what you're not in order to steal an opportunity from somebody who deserves it. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, with that being said, we are over 2 hours, and I'm done. I'm tired. I want to go to hell to bed. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And we'll catch you on the next one. As always, it's up to you to make up your own mind. And if you want to get mad at me and hate me, that's cool. Whatever. I still love you. Till I speak to you again. Love many. Trust few. And do harm to none. God loves you. And so do we. Bye-bye.